Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All right, welcome into a Thursday edition of the JP Peterson Show. It's a new day in Tampa Bay and the rest of the world as well. Nick Gattos is joining me here from On3 Sports, and the 49ers are coming to town. And the Gators got a huge game this weekend at Texas. Hopefully DJ Lagway will be able to play. And the Bolts are back in town too, but on a 3-game losing streak. So we got so much to get to here in Tampa Bay sports. We're coming to you live from our new South Tampa studio here. Nick Gattos was supposed to join me this morning, but unfortunately the real world got in the way. Car trouble. I hate when that happens, partner. I've been dealing with that myself. How are you?
I'm good now that I made it back home. There was some question if I was even going to be able to make it back home on my own. So that's already a plus in itself. And of course, we don't miss the show for any reason. We keep it rolling. We're ready to go. And as always, JP, I got my shirt on today. We're Tampa Bay strong. We're still Tampa Bay strong.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. Y'all were selling them at y'all were selling them at Amalie right after
I have my Tampa Bay strong pin, which will be on my jacket tonight when I'll be at Amalie Arena. Gets the Flyers.
Yeah, so we got a big Bucs game. I got my Lightning gear tonight. Lightning played tonight. I even threw the Rays a bone by wearing their hat today. And I'll get
Is that a Rays hat?
That's a Rays hat. That's a throwback right there.
Oh, I've never seen that one. So that's black. It says Devil Rays on the front.
Yeah, it's one of those 47 hats. I love the 47.
Oh,
brand.
yes.
Beautiful.
I do like their stuff. Their stuff. Nice. Very nice, my friend. All right, so we're gonna talk some FSU football as well today. Pat Burnham will join us from the Osceola. No, I don't know why either. I really don't know. Guess because Notre Dame's in the top 10. Maybe that's why we'll get
remember you used to avoid talking FSU on this show. Like after a bad loss, we were getting to that point, but then you're still like, no, I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna dive right back in.
Oh, we have to settle for our sponsors, of course. Italiano brings you the FSU report, even if you're 1 in 100. It doesn't matter. But they got Notre Dame this week. This was a game that when the schedule came out, we were all like, "Oh, I can't wait! I'm going to go to Chicago, pick up my son, then we're going to drive on the bus to South Bend and party, and then go to that great stadium with so much history and watch Notre Dame and Florida State with the echoes of the 1993 1 versus 2 matchup." Which William and Pat will talk about that today because I was there. I did broadcast that game for the FSU network. So we'll talk about that. So we'll give you a little nostalgia. Maybe we'll do a lot of nostalgia when it comes to that game because talking about this team is
just say I'd rather if I was scheduled to go to South Bend, I'd like to reroute that and go to Austin, Texas. If we had to go watch if we had to watch one of the Florida teams play this week, I'd rather go watch that one.
No, that's a definite. That's a definite. And we'll talk about that one. And tomorrow we'll have our Gator report brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group with Scott Carter. He'll join us probably either from Austin or on his way to Austin, one of the two things. So that's a big game. And suddenly the Gators are relevant. They are relevant. Not in the national picture, but I think not in the national picture. Well, they're in the national picture this week, because beat Texas, and that's going to put a hurting on Texas' chances to stay in the playoff picture. Right?
I don't know, man. Those horns do a lot of work.
Come on. 3 losses, or that would give them their second loss. And then not winning the conference.
I'm just saying, you want to have I don't want to go too deep in this, but I'll just leave it right here before we go back to the Bucs, or start with the Bucs rather.
Yeah.
But you want to see a good little test to see if things have changed at all with this new format and how they view teams. If Alabama beats LSU this weekend with their 2 losses, come talk to me when they're ranked ahead of BYU in the next rankings with 2 losses, and you'll see that those brands and those logos still hold a lot of weight.
They do, and I'm not saying that they don't. Look, nobody knows that more than a Florida State fan, obviously. And if you looked at the top 12 rankings, 8 of the 12 were Big Ten or SEC. And I think that's probably where the number will be. Yeah.
Yeah, but I can't say that's not wrong. Like,
no, it's not wrong.
The Big 12 is like chaotic as could be, and the ACC is just Clemson blew it. So
yeah, they did. I haven't really dug in on that game. I didn't see much of it. but they'll still have a shot. Clemson, I think, will still have a shot to get in the ACC championship.
Yeah, they got to
Right.
win out.
And
they have to win out.
they
That's
gotta
their
win
only
out.
path.
Yeah, which they can, obviously. And I still think it's Clemson and Miami in the ACC championship game.
Sleeping on the Stangs, I see.
Yeah, I don't know. Does SMU, I haven't seen the rest of their schedule.
Their only loss was to BYU early in the season, and then they made the quarterback change to Jennings, and since then they've been just flying. And so right now they're on a collision course to play Miami in the ACC championship, and I don't know, Miami's not unbeatable. No way.
So for the ACC championship game, it's the top 2 ranked teams in the football rankings.
Top 2 in the conference.
Top 2 in the conference, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. In the ACC, the top 2 ranked, because obviously we don't have divisions anymore. It's the top 2 ranked. And if SMU is ahead of Clemson, then they'll get the spot. Yeah. I don't know. I'd rather see Miami play Clemson than SMU in that championship game. Just saying. But we'll see how it all works out. We're going to talk. We have a whole segment ready for the college football. So let's get into the Buccaneers. And another huge game for them, as their chances at winning the NFC South are slipping away. No question about that. But this is an opportunity to right some wrongs for some games that they should have won. I said this earlier this week that I think it's apparent, and we kind of said this from the beginning of the season, right? What was going to hold this team back? There was something that was going to hold this team back specifically. It was going to be Todd Bowles and the way he managed games and the way he managed the team and the way he managed the season. I think as we sit here today at 4-5 with 2 losses to the Falcons, both games they could have won, and certainly a game last week that they should have won or could have won. I'll say could have won against in last week's game. So these are, and you sit here with no Chris Godwin and no Mike Evans, at least for another couple of weeks, and I put that squarely on the coach. That's my opinion, but I think it's valid. Many share it. So as we sit here at 4-5 and a team that clearly should be 5-4, maybe even 6-3, playing a game that now they must win against the 49ers. And I think they can win. I think the 49ers are obviously a very good football team, and Shanahan has given Bowles fits over the years. But I've seen enough from this Bucs team that they can move the football on the ground, even against the best run defenses. And the 49ers are pretty good. What are they, 6th against the run?
Yep.
Yeah, the Ravens were 2, the Chiefs were 1, or vice versa. And the Bucs were able to run the ball on both of them. Not huge numbers, but consistently enough where it mattered in the game. They didn't shut it down. So I believe they'll be able to run the ball on the 49ers as well. Now, will they be able to throw the ball enough to win this game? I think so. I think especially at the end of the game, Baker got some more confidence in Shepard, in Trey Palmer, in Ryan Miller, that they can now throw the ball and should be able to throw the ball. And obviously throwing to the backs and K-Dot is a given. Those are real weapons for the Buccaneers. So I really feel like this is, of the teams that have played the 49ers the past few years, this team has the best chance to beat the 49ers. Now, Christian McCaffrey is coming back, but we all assume, this is going to be, the number 1 fantasy football guy. He's going to be at full strength, fresh legs, ready to go. I think it's been a long time since Christian McCaffrey's played football. It's been a long time since he's been hitting in a live game. So I don't expect the best of Christian McCaffrey. He's still pretty, but even 80% could put up about 150 yards on this Buccaneer defense. So he's a factor, but I'm not going to say he's the best running back in the league like he used to be. He'll be a factor, but no question about it. So I do think the Bucs have a chance, an opportunity to beat this team. But again, Kyle Shanahan versus Todd Bowles has been a mismatch. And I worry about that. I worry about this defense, not from a physical standpoint, but from a tactical standpoint. Bowles has still not fixed the middle of the field issues. They've still not fixed, the fact that this team gets tired in the fourth quarter because basically they're on the field for 83 plays in the last game. This defense has probably played more plays than any team in football because their soft zone defense allows for long drives. We saw that last week against the Chiefs, long drives. So by the fourth quarter, this team is gassed. And by the way, that's where games are won and lost in the fourth quarter. We all know that. So that strategy is part of the problem for me. They're not making enough plays to get off the field. They're not getting big sacks. They're not getting the turnovers that they need to get off the field and save themselves from playing 83 plays a game. So I think that's a problem. Offensively, I think this Bucs team is going to be able to move the ball. They scored without Chris and Mike. They scored 24 points last week. Probably should have had more. So I think the offense will be able to make some plays, but again, I worry about the defense. That's where we're at. And it's a must win for the Buccaneers, I think.
Oh, it's absolutely a must win. Listen, I thought 2 weeks ago in Atlanta it was a must win. Even early in the season, like you couldn't afford to lose 2 games to the Falcons and still have aspirations to win the NFC South. And then the Falcons obviously play Dallas, and Dallas is dead right now as a football team. And they win that game pretty easily, right? And not even playing their best football. It's just Dallas is Dallas. So
right.
You're having to chase.
We'll get that later in the season in Dallas and be able to hopefully take advantage of that as well.
Correct. But you're chasing them now. You're essentially 3 games behind the Falcons. So I'm not putting any stock right now into the division still being there for you. You're gonna have to try to get to the wild card. And my thing, JP, it's like if they lose this game, they go to 4-6. And I know we talk a lot about the second half of the schedule and how it lightens up, and there are some winnable games. My thing, JP, it's like I don't know if this team. Like last year, they were able to go on that run where they won 6 of their final 7. I think they stubbed their toe against New Orleans late in the season. It was
right. Mm-hmm.
I don't know if this team is capable because this defense has regressed so much right now, and they have the same issues weekly. And some of the guys on that defense that are paid a lot of money are just not playing well for you. Like Antoine Winfield Jr., the Bucs need a lot better from him. They need a lot better. There's just you're not getting splash plays from Antoine Winfield Jr. And even the play on Monday night where Mahomes throws a prayer into triple coverage to DeAndre Hopkins, like I mean, Antoine Winfield Jr.'s got to make a play there. Yeah. I'm not sure what he was doing there. It looked like he was just tracking it to like just come down with it, but you got to go up and try to make a play on the football, in my opinion, or at least not.
I think D-Hop kind of showed out of nowhere for him. I think he thought he had that ball, and D-Hop just cut him off to get it, and that's what great experienced receivers do.
Right. We've talked about how Levante David is not the same Levante David this year. That's clear. You're still not getting enough pressure from your edge players. The Jamel Dean being on IR. I know everybody was going after Jamel Dean. I'm like, well, do you see now how important Jamel Dean is? Because, I mean, they weren't playing well necessarily with him, but the drop-off from Jamel Dean to Josh Hayes, and this is nothing on Jason Licht, by the way. This was not the plan to have Jamel Dean get injured. Bryce Hall, remember, got injured before the season even started. Injured. And then you're left them with Josh Hayes and, Funderburk and everything, and it's just not going well. And you mentioned, like, a lot of the soft zone they're playing. I found this chart yesterday, and I thought this was interesting. I'm going to put it here on the screen for you.
We got charts today?
We got charts today.
Wonderful. Okay.
Here's a chart. You might have to, like, really zoom. You might have to really, like, I'm going to, like, try to, like, explain it here. This is cornerbacks and when they play single coverage this year, man-to-man. And on the bottom, it says single coverage snap percentage. And on the left side of the chart, it's single coverage separation grade. Okay?
Yeah.
Look over here to the left, JP. What do you notice?
I can't really see it. Is that?
You have 3 Buccaneers. All 3 Buccaneers starting corners are all on the left side of this chart. If you could see
that's not good.
Logos. That is telling you that the Bucs essentially run the fewest like man-to-man coverages in the league, as far as I can read this. Because Tyke Smith is all the way over here on the left, and then just to the right of him is Jamel Dean and Zion McCollum. There's nobody else in their vicinity. There's nobody else in their vicinity, and they're also lower on that chart. So it tells you when they do.
So this
run
is
those
man
plays,
coverage snaps.
Yeah, this is ran coverage snap percentage down here. Tyke Smith is under 20%. Zion and Jamel Dean are just over 20%. That is the lowest amount of man coverage snap percentages in the entire league. So they basically don't run it at all. And when they do run it, you can see the results are not great. If the results were great, they'd be up near the top over here in the center.
Right.
Where you see some of the best corners, like McDuffie, for example, is number 1 in the league against man coverage. He's at the top.
So for guys who know, these charts, like the most popular one was the crazy hot matrix, right? Mm-hmm. Where you had, upper right is where you want it to be. Not down left, right? That's
no
bad.
down left is as bad as you can get.
That's as bad as you can get,
and that's where all 3 Bucs corners are.
For our audience.
So for the people that are saying, and I'm probably guilty of it too, to be honest with you, why don't the Bucs just run more man-to-man coverage? Well, That's just not the way that the defense is built to run. They don't have the corners that are built like Jamel Dean, for example. And Jamel's probably a bad guy to even point out because Jamel's not playing.
Jamel's a man corner, though.
Jamel Dean has played press man a lot earlier in his career, and I thought he had some better results than when we see him in man. But absolutely. Zion is a zone corner. We saw Zion in that Baltimore game when they put him on man against Rashad Bateman, and he got burned. His worst reps this year have come in man-to-man coverage. So when people are saying, why does Zion not travel to the number one receiver across the field?
Yeah, that'd be me.
Yeah, I don't think that that's his best strength right now. And
well, he's not playing. He's not playing man. When I turn on the film and he plays man, he makes plays. When I turn on the film and he's in zone, he doesn't make plays. He's a terrible zone corner. I would disagree with you there. And I think, and every time I see somebody make a play, he's in press man coverage. He's not in zone. And that's because we saw this, it was 2 or 3 weeks ago when I think you even brought up the stat, the distance, the separation of receivers for against the Bucs was over 5 yards, over 5 yards, which was by far the worst in the league. Because I think it was against the Ravens. The separation of their receivers catching the ball was over 5 yard average, which is insane. And that's, I think, the reason that happens is because they play so much of this soft zone and they're not very good at it. They're just not very good at it.
No,
and I think when Jamel and Zion were playing man to man, they had their best defensive games early in the season. And I think once Jamel got hurt, and Zion, to me, like last week, he was on Xavier Worthy for most of it. Xavier Worthy had no catches. Josh Hayes was on D-Hop, and D-Hop wrecked the game. And I say, if you're going to play man, why don't you travel? Because the difference between your corner on the other side, Josh Hayes or Funderburk, whoever it's going to be, and Zion McCollum is like, from a 1 to about a 9. I think Zion's a great man corner. I shouldn't say great, but I think he's a much better man corner. So if you're lining up in man and you're getting, and the other teams know this, they're going to put their best receiver on the left. If your best corner's on the right,
I will say
get a much better matchup.
Bowles' explanation, I will say, his explanation the other day for why, because he was asked, I believe, why he was asked a little bit on Monday or Tuesday rather, why Zion is not, like on that play on the last drive example. Remember when Hopkins made that quick little out route and Josh was on him, he missed the tackle. I think he was asked why Zion was not just shadowing DeAndre Hopkins, and Bowles said, well, they have 2 really good receivers. And so if you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. But it's like Xavier Worthy, yeah, he's a burner, but Xavier Worthy hasn't popped off this year necessarily. No. He doesn't have the numbers. He didn't even really make an impact in that football game necessarily.
He didn't have any catches.
Exactly. So
he was on Zion's side.
Yeah, I don't know.
D-Hop on the left against the less experienced worst corner.
Yeah, so some of these explanations from Bowles just don't really add up. And to the point why I think the system is not working right now, I go right back to the linebackers. It literally has so much to do with the linebacking play right now with this Buccaneer team. It's just so subpar between Levante David, KJ Britt, and we saw JJ Russell get in there a little bit. Mm-hmm. And according to the PFF grades, and I'm not sure how many snaps he played in that game necessarily, but on the PFF grades, he graded out as like the Bucs number 3 or 4 best defender and was like in the 70s. So like when he was in there, he was pretty solid from that standpoint. So maybe that's something they could continue to do. But between the issues there and then the way the safeties are playing, because again, Jordan Whitehead's playing the worst of anybody on defense right now, not named KJ Britt. It's a problem.
But this is the thing, Nick. I look at the talent on this team, and I think Jason Light has to be looking at the talent on this team and say, we should be playing better defense. We have a defensive-minded head coach who's considered one of the top DCs in the league. I look at this personnel, and I'm not saying it's great across the board. The glaring weakness is not having a dog on the outside to rush the passer. We just, Yaya's he's okay. He's not a dominant force, and I think he's still learning his way. Hearing him talk about getting chipped and all that the other day is real, and it's new to him, and he's trying to figure it out. And it's tough for even, the Bosas of the world. It's tough, but you got to figure out how to play through that and not get frustrated. He's learning that. He's a young player, and he's still very raw. So they lack that. But you've got 2, I think, really good tackles up front in Cansey and Vita Vea. And Vita Vea had a monster game last week against the Chiefs. I thought he was really, really good. Levante David is not the Levante David of 5 years ago, but he's still pretty good. I think he's still pretty good. That other linebacker spot is a huge gaping hole in your defense. But Zion, I think, is a good corner. I think overall, Antoine Winfield's a really good safety, supposedly one of the best in the league. You've got some talent on that defense. You should not be the worst defense in the league, which is where they're rated right now, the bottom 2 or 3 in almost every meaningful category. So to me, this is more about getting out coached than anything else. And we saw that against the Ravens with Todd Monken. We saw it last week with Andy Reid in that matchup that you just talked about, D-Hop against, when you're constantly getting D-Hop on Josh Hayes, that's a win. That's a win for Andy Reid. And that's an easy pitch and catch for a slant touchdown or in the back of the end zone. We saw that with D-Hop. It's just too easy. So
I think a lot of it's coaching. And by the way, it's not just Bowles. I think they have to take a long, hard look at some of the assistants they have on this staff. I think you have to evaluate everything, JP, for what's not happening, why certain guys are not developing at the rate that they should be. Like Yaya should not be a shell the player he was last year, as far as I'm concerned. And again, George Edwards is the outside linebackers coach, second year here, but George Edwards he's an older coach. And so you have to wonder, like, hey, has the game passed him by or whatever? Like, he was fired from Dallas. Like, these guys who are here, some of these guys were fired from their last destinations. It's not like they were plucked from other staff. So you have to keep in mind, like, I think you have to look at the assistants. And of course, you have to look at Todd Bowles, because everything that happens on that side of the ball falls on him. Absolutely. And there's too much talent and there's too much big money that is being made by a lot of players on that defense for, like you said, it to be 31 in the league, only ahead of Carolina. That's where we are. And Carolina, they don't have talent. None. They don't have talent. The Bucs have talent. And that's why it's so freaking frustrating that, again, they are wasting what I call the best offense the Bucs have ever had, except for the 2 Tom Brady years.
And I said this yesterday when we were talking about the reason that the Bucs made no moves. I think Jason Light, who's not necessarily inclined to make moves at the deadline, but with a team that's on the cusp of being in this, at 4-5, and you could easily say, look, go get an experienced inside linebacker that's on a losing team and give, and I look at, some of these moves that were made for, 5th and 6th round picks. The Lions picked up, brain farting here, the defensive edge rusher.
Zadarius Smith.
Yeah, Zadarius Smith for a 5th round pick, a 5th and a 6th, I think they gave up. That's not much, but clearly Jason Light is not interested in rentals. And why is that? Because he believes that this team's not ready to win a Super Bowl, especially without Mike and Chris. He doesn't think this team is ready to win a Super Bowl. And I think he also knows that what's this defensive staff going to do with it anyway?
I was going to say, I think it's less about that. I think it's more about, is Todd Bowles the head coach
to my
that you believe can get you to a Super Bowl? And that's always been the question mark. That's always been the question mark with this team. There's talent all over this roster, but from a coaching standpoint, excuse Liam Cohen from the equation because he's fantastic. He's been great. The other part of this coaching staff right now is letting them down, and I don't think Jason Light deemed it worth it to just give up picks and try to get these older rental players in here, because how much is it really going to move the needle?
I agree. At this point, Todd Bowles is holding his team back. I think, I'm not going to speak for Jason Light or his ownership, but after the decisions that have been made in the past few weeks that have put Mike and Chris on the shelf, and I think they both could have been avoided, the 2-point conversion is just not even debatable in my mind. If you've got any eyes and you're watching the game, you understand your defense is absolutely gassed. And if you lose that coin flip, Mahomes is going right down the field and scoring a touchdown. You're never going to see the ball. We knew that when the coin was flipped. The head coach should know that more than anybody. Right. And for him to just have blind faith in a defense that hasn't gotten it done the entire last quarter and has been on the field for 73 plays at that point, 83 plays at the end of the game. I mean, it's just silly to think you're going to stop them. It's not going to happen. Oh, you stopped him at the end of the game just because there was some miscommunication between D-Hop and Patrick Mahomes on that one slant route that almost got picked off. If they're on the same page, it's another first down. They're probably into field goal range, and they're going to win at regulation. I mean, there's just there's just nothing. And Todd's continued explanations for that.
Oh,
are just
yeah. And
nonsensical.
and we got a new, I did want to put this quote out here because I saw Dan Lucas did from Channel 8 did a good sit down. I guess he did a sit down with Todd Bowles. And he further discussed the decision to go for the extra point rather than go for 2 there at the end of the game. And I feel like he almost contradicts himself here. And he says, I mean, we talked about as a staff going down there to the end zone, going forward, we understood we were going for 1 and we were going to get it into overtime. We felt we had momentum moving the ball on offense. We thought defensively we could hold them to 3 and get the ball back and either tie them or beat them that way as well. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. And so when I read that quote, number one, that proves exactly what I said. Them going for 2 in that moment was never under consideration. All of us were shouting to the heavens, go for 2, go for 2. Troy Aikman saying it on the broadcast, you got to go for 2. It was never under consideration. They were going for 1 the entire time. And then he mentions that the offense had momentum. They were moving the ball. They just went 10 plays, 80 yards to get into the end zone where Baker was on it on every single throw on that drive just about.
Yeah.
And then he's blaming a wet field for why he doesn't want to go for 2. But even with that wet field, he deems kicking a 35-yard extra point is a better option. Like, that doesn't really make much sense. And then again, your defense has been on the field for the majority of that second half. They're gassed and they're not good as it is. And you're going up against the greatest quarterback in the world right now, and Patrick Mahomes, who's never lost in an overtime game in the regular season. And you think your defense is going to get a stop. But this is the problem with having a defensive head coach. They believe that their defense, just let our defense get back out there. They're going to make a stop for us.
Right.
But you have to understand what you have. You have the 31st ranked defense in the league that could not get off the field. They're gassed. They couldn't even get off the field on 3rd down the entire night. Like, it was just, you ruined the game right there. You ruined it. That's why I don't take moral victories away from anything we saw on that field. I don't.
Yeah, it's just nonsensical. And I think the Glazers have to leave that game going, we had a chance on Monday Night Football with 1 play to beat the Chiefs, the 2-time defending champion Chiefs, give them their first loss. And by the way, the pressure on the Chiefs defense in that moment, they're tired. They've just got run over for a touchdown. Baker's smoking hot. I mean, they're on their heels. No question about it. And now they're thinking, oh my God, they're going to come back and win this game. They're going to go for 2. And even Travis Kelce said on his podcast, I'm so glad they didn't go for 2. Andy Reid said it after the press conference. Oh, so glad they didn't go for 2. I go back to the Blake Snell thing when he got taken out. What did they say? They said, "Oh man, I'm sure glad Kevin Cash took Blake Snell out because we had nothing. We had nothing for him." When your opposition is saying, "Thank God for that stupid ass decision you made," it's probably a bad decision, a very bad decision, right? I mean, come on. And so if you're the Glazer, you own this team and you're paying for this talent, you're paying for all this, and you're there at the game and you're Monday Night Football and it's, Taylor Swift's 2 boxes over and your team's going to come in here and beat this team and walk out strutting, 5-4. Now you got the 49ers coming in. You have another big win on national TV and your ass turtled and by the way, catching and putting it down and kicking it through when it's raining, probably harder than the 2-point conversion, to be quite honest with you.
You think?
Yeah. And I mean, what do you do? So if an ownership group and Jason Light, what do you think they wanted to do? You don't think they're pissed about it? Yes, they're pissed about it. And I think they feel right now, did they want to fire Todd Bowles last year? Yeah. If he doesn't beat the Carolina or even loses for Philly in that wild card game, I think Todd Bowles was fired. I think they were going to go find another coach. I think right now they probably had enough, and again, we love Todd, great dude, superhuman being, but we're talking about his coaching decisions and they've all turned out to be wrong. That's not debatable. So you can talk about process, but that's not debatable. All right, let's take a quick break. Pat Burnham's waiting in the wings to talk some FSU football, maybe talk Notre Dame. Maybe we'll go back in the Wayback Machine and talk about an actual game up there that mattered in 1993. So we'll do that. We're brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group. Results. And they bring you the Gator Report every Friday with Scott Carter, which we will get tomorrow. So if you're having any issues with your insurance company, you have any legal questions at all, get a free case evaluation from the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. And we're coming to you live from the Jeeves Law Group studio. Back in 3 with Pat Burnham. Stay with us. Hey, it's football season, and we welcome back the Gator Report every Monday and Friday, sponsored by the Jeeves Law Group, Jeeves lawgroup.com. Just go to the website. You can contact them through there. Scott Jeeves is a tremendous, aggressive attorney and a big Gator fan, so we appreciate him supporting this show and, of course, your Florida Gators. They are local, they are trusted, and they get results, whether it's personal injury or anything else, any law matter at all. It's the Jeeves Law Group, Jeeves lawgroup.com. Give them a call. Tell them JP sent you. All right, this is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on True Body and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. JP here to ask the question, are you planning an event, meeting, or conference? If so, you'll want to call the designers and production professionals at Extravaganza Productions Incorporated. With over 35 years of experience in the events industry, designing and producing every type of small to large event, they can provide a huge resource for design ideas, audio, visual, sound, lighting, decor, and entertainment to turn your event into an incredible experience for the entire audience. Folks, I've worked up close and personal with this group at many national events and Tampa events, and they have unique capabilities that help you save time and money in the planning and execution of your next event. Don't delay. Call these pros today at 813-621-4700 or check out their website at extravaganzaproductions.com. Tell them JP sent you, and they'll provide a free initial consultation for your event. Extravaganza Productions, the best in the business. Golfers, listen up. The hottest new driving range craze has come to Rogers Park in Tampa. The Top Tracer range is now open 10 to 9 p.m. And just like you see on TV, every shot is tracked for yardage and accuracy, giving you immediate feedback. And best of all, you can virtually play the top courses like Pebble Beach or St. Andrews with your buddies. Plus, great food and drink options available in the well-appointed hitting bays. Very comfortable out there. Reservations highly recommended, starting at $25 per hour, including balls. Reserve at RogersParkGolf.net. That's RogersParkGolf.net. See you there.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
Well, like, see, even on the StreamYard,
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here. I guess JP's unaware that we're back from break. See if we can. You got us there? You missed our cue back from break there.
Sorry. I'm doing some business in the studio here. Trying to get more viewers. That's what we're doing. Looking at the different feeds. We're back. All right, welcome back. We're brought to you by Italiano Insurance, who brings you the FSU report each and every week. Jeff Italiano and the great folks over there will take care of you, whatever your needs are for insurance. If you have questions right now with your homeowner's insurance, you're filing a claim and you don't have Italiano as your broker, you can call them and ask them questions. They'll be happy to help you out if they can. And I just ask that you ask them to say, hey, will you shop around my insurance to see if you can find a better price, auto, home, business, all the different things that they offer. And you'll probably find out that they can save you money because they normally do. They shop it around. You don't have to. And they'll find you good companies to work with. So give them a call at 877-7799, 813-877-7799. All right, let's do our FSU report with our good friend Pat Burnham from the Osceola and the Rivals Network. What's up, partner? How are you?
Not a whole lot, man. You sure you want to do this segment?
Yeah, baby. Let's talk. Let's keep it interesting, as you always do. Do. We probably won't. I mean, we don't need to rehash that trash that was on the field on Saturday and by the way, I got free tickets. I would not pay to see that crapola. Somebody else paid for those tickets, whoever they were.
You were up here this weekend?
I was up here this weekend. We had a nice alumni function with a lot of my old fraternity brothers. Rented out Ken's for 3 hours, my good friend Ed Murray, and they fried up some nice Gulf shrimp and grouper and oysters for us and had an open bar for 3 hours. Yeah, it's good stuff.
I wasn't a KA, but I was a Pi KA. You could have invited me. I got K and A in my fraternity.
we should. I apologize for that because
There
were a couple pikes there anyway. So
Right.
that makes it even worse. I know. But a good time was had by all weekend long. Lots of, and that's the beauty of it, right? When you go to your college football game, you go back, you see all your friends, relive those stories, tell some lies, and have a good time. And then you got to go. Usually, you go watch a football game, and that's it's a big part of it. But now with Florida State, what are we 1-8 at this point? Is it 1-8 now?
That is correct. That is what
1-8
tells us. Yeah, listen, it was just such a bad loss in North Carolina. I broke it down in Takeaway Tuesday, but, listen, you look at Florida State produced 42 yards of rushing offense. North Carolina had only given up less to one team all season long. Some of the numbers that you look at the only thing I said about the North Carolina game is that, in my opinion, it's one of the worst losses of the season. Just the way it looked,
that's saying something. I think it was
I don't know how you rank 8 losses, but it was just it was a bad day, and in every way, and you start to question. I'm not going to say the team quit as a whole, because I don't think you can say that. But when one player quits or starts turning it down, everyone else is guilty by association. And listen, they doubled them up in yardage, 500 to 201, 40 minutes to 20 minutes. I mean, this game was really, after North Carolina scored that first touchdown, it was over. This, and particularly once they got to 21, which we know this football team cannot do. But yeah, it was more of the same. And I do that Takeaway Tuesday column every Tuesday, and my head literally hurt this Tuesday because I don't know how to explain the same thing over and over again, because we see the same deficiencies every week. In past years, we've seen certain position groups and certain players get better. We're not seeing that from this team outside of maybe an Omar Graham. Unfortunately, Justin Cryer got hurt in the game. He was a guy that, although limited athletically, is a guy that, really plays hard. Now, he may be back after the Notre Dame game. But, yeah, listen, this is going to be a tough game for them, boys. Notre Dame runs the living hell out of the ball. They don't run it to any one spot like North Carolina. They are very successful running the ball in the A and B gap like North Carolina does. But what they really like to do is they like to get the ball to their running backs in between the tackles, and then try to get the quarterback outside on zone read action. But they've been very successful running the ball to the perimeter and through the middle of the defense. So Florida State's got its hands cut out for them. Listen, Notre Dame's very deep on defense. 4 really, really good linebackers. They play a lot of people up front and have one of the best pass defenses in the nation. Obviously, you can say they have not played a lot of people this year. Outside of Texas A&M, maybe Navy, who they crush. But listen, it's a hard spot for Florida State, and it's probably not going to be a pretty night. I think it's going to be more of the same. I think as I said last week, I think everyone's ready to put this season on in the rear view, and I think the most fascinating thing surrounding Florida State are going to be what's going to happen the day after Florida game. And
Pat, I think the only thing to talk about for this particular game is, I think some of us thought that, okay, North Carolina, this is a team that James Madison put up 70 points on. I think 45,
50 and a half.
50 and a half. So there's an opportunity here to the quarterbacks have been working and getting first team reps for 3 weeks now. There's some talent on this team. There's no question about that. So maybe this is a week where they play some inspired football. You see that everywhere in college football. Right. Guys, look at what the Gators have done. They went from dead in the water to taking Georgia to the brink. Should have beat Tennessee, beat the hell out of UCF, beat the hell out of Kentucky.
Chill.
They did. No, they did. They really beat the hell out of UCF. Okay. And this was a team that was left for dead. This is a team that was left for dead. So I'm thinking, okay, well, Florida State, these guys they got to be sick of getting their ass kicked. They got to be sick of just being the butt of every joke. They got to have some to get to this point of your playing career to get a D1 scholarship at a place like Florida State, you got to have some talent. And you probably got to have like at least something in the nutsack, I would hope. Right. And so this is a week where you're at home, go out and do something against a team that you can push around in North Carolina. And we saw none of that. It was a total regression. It went from shit to really bad shit. I mean, it was a total regression. So, I mean, this, as if there wasn't an indictment enough on the players and the coaches, this was just, I mean, this is just, I mean, I hate to see it's unacceptable because that word's not enough. It's not even close. I mean, it's just like, what the F was that?
Yeah, I think and I know there's really no transitive property in football, but when you look at common opponents, which were Duke and Georgia Tech, both Florida State and North Carolina, obviously Florida State lost both those games. North Carolina won one of the two, but they beat Georgia Tech and lost a very close game to Duke. You would have thought, well, hey, maybe there's a chance these teams will match up pretty good. On top of that, North Carolina has not shown up at times this season. They went through that 4-game losing streak, and I know they had some things off the field going on with the wide receiver who passed away in the middle of the season and all of that. And I don't know how to quantify what that impact had on that team other than to say that it probably did. But listen, I think the most depressing thing to me about the loss was not the offense. We know what the offense is. The offense is, you can't make a thorough evaluation off the quarterbacks because the offensive line and receivers are so bad. And really, you're just lucky to get anything that you get out of the offense. But, the more concerning thing coming out of this game to me was the defense, because you've got some players on the defense. You do have some talent. Marcus Freeman said before this game, just like every other coach does it, there's talent. When you turn on the film, there's talented players at Florida State. These guys aren't lying. They don't share notes. They're turning on the film on Sunday, and they're giving you their first impressions. What they're not saying is this team's disciplined. This team plays hard. This team is well coached. They don't say those things about this team. Right. But the most depressing thing is, you knew there was no doubt what North Carolina was going to do offensively. They run the ball between the guards. That's what they do. They run the ball off the guard's ass to the left or off the guard's ass to the right and in between. That's all they do. And that's what they did. And when you give up 289 yards on the ground, and it's the same old thing. The safety's having to come down from 10 to 12 yards and make the tackle. And the guys up front that are building the wall, you have to be able to get a block. It can't just be one-on-one every time between the safety and the
somebody's got to get off a block and make a play.
Yeah, so somebody's got to get off a block. They're not doing it. There are some guys that are playing well. I thought Daryl Jackson's kind of come on. He is what he is. I wish they would play a more disruptive style of defense up front. I wish they'd try to push the line of scrimmage back, but they don't. It's more of a read technique. But listen, I just think that when you it's coming and you can't stop it, either Adams got to adjust his game plan or they got to get the players more motivated, because to your point, a little bit about this is pride and have a little something about you to not get run over. And so to me, that was the most disappointing thing. Now, the result, the loss, I thought the loss was coming. I predicted a very close score, a low 20s, because you could throw the ball against that defense at least coming into this game. And we saw some success in the passing game, 159 yards. But you did see a couple of deep balls, one for a score. And listen, it's hard to you're looking for individual performances at this point to find some positives. And I really I continue to be impressed with Brock Glenn's toughness. I think that he has certainly separated himself a little bit from Luke, even though I think Luke may have long. Luke's a freshman, right? Brock should be. But
it's also, like you say, it's hard to evaluate.
Oh, it's hard to evaluate either one of them. I mean, they're running for their life
as soon as they hit their back foot.
So to me, that was that was a bad thing about this team. But listen, this season is it's done. I mean, it's over. You got to go through the Notre Dame game. You'll probably get blasted. Charleston Southern, they're a really bad FCS team, 1-8. Now I'll get on the tangent. We probably won't even come on that week, but listen, they shouldn't be playing that game. And how do you count that game as a win? Really? I mean, they got 63 kids on scholarship. You got 85, but and then you got Florida, and listen, Florida's improving, and if they have DJ Lagway back, that's probably another bad home loss. Although you'll get the rivalry bump, kind of like they did against Miami, where they played well for a while and kind of stuck around. Although you can go back and rip that apart, depending on how you want to look at that game. But yeah, listen, to me, the fascinating things are what's going to take place December 1st through December 29th.
I would agree with that. You used the word pride, and I guess that was my thing watching that game was I'm looking around. I'm like, where's the pride for, your own? I mean, first of all, your own play. Like, I think everybody wants to. I would like to think everybody shows up onto the field every single game saying, I want to have a good day. I want our team to have a good day. And there was a moment where I think it was 21-3, and then Brock takes a big hit, completes a 50-yard pass to Malik Benson, the best play he's made in a Florida State uniform. And then on a 4th and 3, throws a beautiful ball to the back of the end zone to Ja'Kai Douglas. 2-point conversion. It's 21-11. Like, it's somewhat still a game at that point. Feel like you got some energy into the stadium. At least it came over on the TV screen for me. And then the defense immediately gives up a 45-yard run with a 15-yard face mask penalty. And it's just like, I'm asking, I'm like, where's the pride on the defense? And then on the little shovel pass to Omarion Hampton, I think that was the play where we all saw it was clear that Shaheem Brown looked like he had no interest in that play.
Yeah, I got a text from. Go ahead.
And then yet on the next drive, I'm looking out there and I'm like, oh, Shaheem Brown's still playing. And so I feel like that's been a common theme this year. And like, I just feel like the next 3 games, it's like, I guess I have to think he's doing it. You have to figure out when you turn on that film, who's still fighting for me, who's not. And if they're not, you need to sit them down. And then when it comes into the offseason with the window that you mentioned, I got to evaluate which of these guys do I want to pay NIL contracts to and which guys do I want to say, take it or leave it. And if you don't want it, goodbye. I feel like it has to be that cut and dry.
Yeah, listen, I got that same play. I got a text from somebody whose football opinion I really value. And their text to me was, well, I think he took a bad angle on purpose. Because I didn't think he wanted anything up. Now you go back and look at the long run you're talking about, where they didn't leverage the momentum after Florida State scored to make it 21-11. You look at that play. If AZ had not had the horse collar, I'm not sure that they get him out of bounds, because if you watch the safety that's trying to help him catch up with him, he totally ducks his head, dives, and I'm not sure he would have hit him. No. But I think you're right. I think that, you've got to hold these kids accountable. And I know the roster's thin at this point. And you probably don't want to, I'm sure there's some of these true freshman defensive backs they would like to keep the red shirt on for next year, particularly the way this year is going.
They're all leaving, man. This idea these days about keeping red shirts, I think, is the dumbest thing ever. With the portal and everything else, you only red shirt you're keeping is when he goes to another team.
That's true.
I mean, what are you doing? If they can play, put them on the damn field. And I'm going to tell you, they're not sticking around if they're not going to play. If you can't play for a 1-9 football team, they're not sticking around. Why is Charles Lester going to stick around? He looks out there and sees these guys don't even want to play. The coach is looking at him going, what, you're not good enough to play that bad? Come on.
Yeah,
that makes no sense to me. I don't even want to hear about keeping a red shirt. Ridiculous.
There is some truth to that. And listen, some of these here's the other part of it, JP, and it's true. A lot of these true freshmen are not ready. You know that. I know that. I mean, you can play them, but
it can't be any worse.
Well, it could. We keep on saying that every week, and it was worse against North Carolina.
Yeah,
but listen,
you're right.
And to go back to that point, this team does not know how to leverage momentum. You have a little momentum. You go up there, but it did the same thing after they kicked the field goal. They gave up a 50-yard kickoff return and gave North Carolina a short field. They had a great goal line stand, which resulted in Florida State getting the ball back, but it also resulted in North Carolina getting a short field in their next series and scoring. So they just don't do. I mean, it's a bad football team. And it's not been coached well this year. And we can talk about 13-0, and that's fine.
All right. So let's look forward then. Or to your point, what you wanted to do in the beginning, I keep dragging you back. My bad. So what happens on December 1st when after the Gators beat the crap out of them on their own field, and they show they don't care whatsoever? What happens December 1st?
Well, I think it's going to be.
You can't fire all the coaches then, because they've actually hopefully recruit. Well, there's only 11 recruits left in the class.
11 recruits committed, and you feel pretty good about most of them, I think, at this point. You haven't heard of the guys like Solomon Thomas taking visits to other places. You haven't heard that with Greg Thomas or Byron Lewis. In fact, Byron was here this weekend, as was Peyton Joseph, and several of the other commits were here. About 4 or 5 of them were here this weekend, so that's good. I know Notre Dame's making a big push for Gregory Thomas out of South Florida, but I think I think he's locked in. But yeah, I think there's a couple of things you got to think about. All right, the portals. You got National Signing Day on December 4th, and you got the portal opening on December 8th. All right, so do you hold on to the members of the staff that are key to this class? Like you got 4 offensive linemen. If he's going to let Alex Atkins go, which we do not know, does he hold on until those guys are signed? Or does he go ahead and make any changes he's going to make on December 4th, on December 1st, and have guys in place to come in? And because you want to be recruited by who you're going to be coached by. So
right.
It's a big question for Mike. Do I hang on to these guys for an extra couple days to go ahead and solidify the 11 guys that I got? And then
isn't that what most schools do? They don't fire the coaches until after signing day.
I talked to my father, who coached for 52 years at a high level, Florida State, a lot of South Carolina, Iowa State, and he goes, listen, I think if he's going to make the changes, he's got to make them the Sunday after.
That's the most honest thing to do, but it's not always done. But I
think it's going to be done between there and the time the portal opens, because I think you've got to recruit the portal kids with who's going to be on your staff next year.
Well, here's my question then. So you could fire the staff all you want. In terms of what kind of staff you can bring in here, that's my next question of how difficult that's going to be, because I'm trying to think, like, what are you selling as a program right now? Are other coaches looking at the situation going, hey, do I want to move myself and my family to a situation where it looks like this is not exactly tenable at the moment? This coach may or may, I know he's not necessarily on the hot seat because of the financial part of it, but it seems like this is almost like down to the studs and they have to like start from ground up right now. Like, how easy, I guess, is it going to be? Like, is the brand still going to be able to like bring people in? Like, hey, I do want to go coach at Florida State.
Well, yeah, I mean, Florida State's still a better location to coach at than most places in college football. And listen, coaches are guys that have extreme confidence in what they can do. And there's going to be a lot of guys that are going to say, I can help Mike get this thing turned around because I'm a good football coach. And with that Florida State logo on my chest, I'm a better recruiter than I've ever been before, depending on where they're coming from. And listen, they're going to sell and you're right, Nick. The reason he will be back is because of that contract. And listen, he's got enough guaranteed money that if he doesn't want to make some changes that they're asking him to make, he doesn't have to. That's another part of this conversation. Like, I've heard, so I think it's going to be interesting to see what changes he does make, because I've heard everywhere from 2 or 3 to 6 or 7 from people that think they know and people that are educated. So we'll see. But you're going to give these guys. Here's the problem. It's about money. You're going to sign all these new coaches. Any new coach that comes in, you're going to sign them to 2 or 3 years of contract. They're not going to come for less because they understand that Mike's got to get this done with a clock ticking.
Yes.
Now, whether that's 365 days or 2 years, none of us know what's going on between Mike Alford and the power brokers behind the scenes. My sense is,
sorry to interrupt, but my sense is the money behind this program is still behind Mike Norvell. I think Mike's done a very good job of cultivating and being accessible to the guys who are funding this program. They like him. They believe in him. I think Mike's speech after the game the other day, where he finally showed some emotion and pissed off, saying, I can turn this around. I know how to do this. I've done this before. I think it's inspired some of those people. So I think he's safe. But to your point, it's a lot harder for Mike to get quality coaches to come here when his situation is maybe not as concrete, but I think it is. I think he still has the backing, but I also think those people are asking him to make major moves, not 1 or 2, but 6 or 7 in terms of staff. I think that's what Alford wants. I think that's what the boosters want. I think that's what's demanded from anybody like yourself and me who've been watching this program for a long time and have some semblance of knowing what good football looks like and should look like. I think that's a consensus. Would you disagree with any of that?
Well, listen, I don't know power. I know a couple of power brokers. That's about it. And
where are they at? You think with Norvell?
They don't. They're going to do what they're going to do. I think that I think they know they can't do anything, right? Because of the $65 million. But here's the thing I'm going to say. And Mike did get fired up and gave this very impassioned speech about why he's the guy, or that he. Hey, Murphy,
there we
stop.
go.
That he is the guy that should be able to rebuild this program. Hey, the only thing I'm going to say to you is this.
The dogs are barking, man. The dogs are barking.
Yeah, they are. This is a different rebuild. Hey,
yeah.
This is a different rebuild because this is his mess. He's not cleaning up somebody else's mess.
Right, that's true. That's true.
He's not cleaning up somebody else's mess. Hold on one second, guys.
You know what, Pat? We're almost toward the end anyway, so we'll let you go.
What I was going to say is he had the new car smell the first time he rebuilt it. He doesn't have that smell anymore. So it's a little bit different. It's a little bit different process this time. So we'll see what happens. But Murphy's fired up, so I don't know.
Well, somebody's fired up. That's good. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. Pat Burnham, the Rivals Network, the Osceola does a great job. I know a lot of his stuff is making the rounds on Twitter each and every week, so you know where to find it at the Osceola, the Rivals Network. Good stuff. Nick, give me a final thought from you on this.
My final thought on it really is, like I said, I think on Monday's show, maybe, like, Mike Norvell's very lucky that all those financial issues are sort of there with the university right now, because I have to think that in any other year, if you go 1-8 at Florida State, and if you finish 2-10, people just are not going to put up with that in Tallahassee. And he would have been out even after a 13-1 season. And I have to think if he follows it up next year with a similar output, and I'm talking like less than 5 wins, I think 2 years in a row of that, even with the financials, somewhere, somehow, they'll find a way to get him out. And because I think heads will start to roll then in Tallahassee, because this is his mess. And I think Pat made a good point there at the end. He cleaned up a mess earlier. He cleaned up a mess. But you know what he did, JP? He put a temporary patch on it. I don't even want to say he cleaned up a mess. He put a temporary patch on it. And the temporary patch this year has started to fade or wear off.
Yeah, of course.
And it opened wide open. And now that wound is there. And now you're just starting right back at square one. And I'd argue it's even worse than at any point it was when he took over Willie Taggart's mess.
Yeah, I think that's fair. The only thing in Mike's defense is that he's done it, and he's proven he can do it here. And 19-0 doesn't happen by accident. It doesn't happen by accident. I'm not saying it proves you're a great coach. I'm saying it proves that you can recruit from the portal, because the 19-0 has everything to do with those players.
Well, the difference between now, though, and then, JP, is the portal. I think every coach was still sort of figuring out how they wanted to navigate that, how important that was going to be to the future of collegiate athletics. Mike was ahead of the game, along with Lane Kiffin, I'd probably say, at Ole Miss.
And everybody caught up.
And everybody is sort of caught up. And again, I don't think some of those guys, like, there was no Keon Coleman at the position this year in the portal. The portal's not the same every single year.
Right, exactly.
And so that's what makes it incredibly difficult to try to strike hot going forward.
Yep, I agree. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back on the other side. We'll talk some more Buccaneers. We're going to hear from Todd Bowles and Baker Mayfield. Also, we're going to hear from Mike, director. He was on with us yesterday. He has some really interesting things to say about the stadium and the football program moving forward. So we'll recap some of those as well. And we're going to get to your comments, as we always do at the top of the second hour here. So all you guys, Rick, James, Drew Jetson, all you guys stick around. We're going to talk about what you're bringing to the show as well. The FSU Report brought to you by Italiano Insurance. Go ahead and give them a call. Let them shop around your homeowners, your auto. If you have any other insurance needs, they can take care of it. Great customer services. They've been doing this for over 60 years here locally. Italiano Insurance. Back in 3. Stay with us. We've had a lot of fun with the monthly birthstones, and October is no different, where the birthstones are opal and tourmaline. All the colors of the evening sky are captured in the mysterious shifting hues of opal, and tourmaline has a color palette for every mood. Did you know that opals have been cherished for centuries, associated with royalty and good fortune. Tourmaline was once thought to protect against evil and enhance spiritual connection, adding to its allure. And during the 40th anniversary, you can find a special selection of this precious gemstone, from stunning rings and necklaces to elegant earrings and bracelets. Of course, Steve Weintraub handpicks every piece for its brilliance and quality. The expert staff will help you find the perfect gift, whether it's for a loved one, a special occasion, or a treat for yourself. Visit the Gold and Diamond Source today, where you'll always find the perfect gift. It's more than jewelry, it's love. Hey, it's football season, so we welcome back the FSU Football Report every Monday and Friday on the J.P. Peterson Show, sponsored by those huge FSU fans at Italiano Insurance. They'll save you money as well. Just do a quick insurance checkup, 813-877-7799. They just saved me $500 on homeowners insurance. Who's doing that? Yeah, they just shopped it around, found a better, cheaper company, and we got a cheaper price. And business insurance. Make sure you're covered or you could lose your personal wealth. That's 813-877-7799. ItalianoInsurance.com. Go Noles.
Hey Tampa Bay sports fans, this is two-time LPGA major champion Jane Geddes here. After winning the US Open and 10 other LPGA events, I wanted to try something completely different. So I came right off the top turnbuckle and landed in the crazy world of WWE. And yes, you heard that right, that's WWE. Working for the Vince McMahon as the VP of Talent Relations for the company. Now, though, I want to work for you. Everything I've done in my life, I've done with incredible passion. And now I've turned my focus to leading the best real estate team in Tampa Bay, the Geddes Gordon Group with Keller Williams in South Tampa. If you're looking for a new home, an investment property, or looking to sell your current home, we will give you major championship level service. When you choose Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of our inner circle, like family. So if you're looking for a few golf tips or a golf course view, we're going to stripe it right down the fairway. Call me at 813-485-6808 or go to GettysGordonGroup.com, or again, give me a ring at 813-485-6808.
JP here for Third Generation AC and Plumbing. And Third Generation really says it all, folks. The owner, my friend John Rodriguez, has been in the AC and plumbing business since 1995. They built their business on honest assessments and doing great work on time for a great price. Simple, right? Did you know many AC techs are incentivized on big commissions to sell new AC units, and you might just need a drain cleared? So if you want someone you can trust, that's John Rodriguez in Third Generation Services. Check out the 5-star Google reviews. If you have a plumbing or AC emergency, call 813-961-8024 and a human will answer the phone. That's 813-961-8024 or go to thirdgenerationplumbing.com.
Ciao, Paolo Tini here, owner of Caffè Paradiso, one of South Tampa premier traditional Italian restaurant. We were recently voted number 3 on Open Table list of Tampa Bay's top 10 restaurants. We're very proud of that because we take great care of preparing each dish by hand with homemade sauces, pastas, only the freshest local ingredients. You won't see the big institutional vendor trucks pulling up to our back door. We get our seafood from local vendors. Sometimes I even drive out to Topper Springs and pick out our daily catch right off those boats. So stop by and say hello. Try our traditional lasagna, the fresh veal, some of our signature dishes like capelli al granchio, that is angel hair with lump crab meat, our branzino, that is a sea bass. We're located at 4205 South McDill, and you can make a reservation on Open Table and read all the great reviews. See you soon. Ciao. Grazie.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here as we roll on this Thursday. The Bucs have a big game against the 49ers. We'll get into that here from Baker Mayfield here in just a little bit. And Todd Bowles, who may be on the hot seat. Welcome back to the JP Peterson Show. Nick Geddes from On3 Sports joining us here as well. And we're brought to you in our second hour by the great folks at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. If you're looking for some concierge medicine and a great doctor, Bay Area Modern Medical Center, Chris Lugo is where to go. He will keep you healthy, give you personalized workouts, nutrition plans, and spend some time with you. Look at your blood work, not just the 15 minutes, get you in, get you out. They do it there, take care of all your needs from a medical standpoint, get you on the right supplements, and get you living a good, healthy life. It's Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. And Nick has some breaking news from On3 Sports.
We have some breaking news. This has actually been made official now by the athletic director of Florida, Scott Strickland. I'll put it up here. He's put out a letter, a message to Florida Gator Nation that Billy Napier will continue on as head coach of the Florida Gators in 2025. So Billy Napier is officially off the hot seat. Scott Strickland made the announcement, as you see the letter right here as proof.
And that's clearly a move to keep their recruiting class together, which you told me the other day was in the 30s anyway, right?
Yeah, it has not been the strongest cycle for recruiting, but I'll just read the second paragraph here because I think it sort of sums up why Billy's getting a chance to stay.
Yeah.
He said, as we've seen these past several weeks, the young men on this team represent what it means to be a Gator. Their resolve, effort, and execution are evident in their performance and growth each week, building a foundation that promises greater success next season and beyond. Beyond some of the big words there, I think the part about how the last few weeks, you see that they're fighting still. They have not given up on their head coach. I think that's evident by the Tennessee game and by the game against Georgia last week, 2 games that were very winnable for them as they played out. And so they're going to give them another go.
Well, agreed. To me, this is, when you look at these two programs, FSU and Florida, and you read that letter, you can't say any of those things about FSU. None of them.
No.
So I think, and I said at the beginning of the season, when everybody was like, well, look at the schedule, Napier's not going to even be able to win 6 games. It'll be 4 and he'll be gone. And I'm like, well, I think you need to wait and see how the team plays with this murderer's row schedule. If you're going to Texas, you're going to Tennessee, and you're going to all these places, you're going to Jacksonville to play Georgia, and you're going toe to toe with these teams. Even if you're not winning them, if you're getting, right to the cusp of winning, why are you just throwing the baby out with the bathwater? I think you got to really look at, is the team fighting? Is it getting better every week? And we keep going back to that bye week, their first bye week, and this team did something defensively that made them a much better team. And you've been waiting to see that from Florida State, and you don't. And that's the difference. This is what good coaching looks like. Players develop, players get better. And it also is a good thing because I said it on Monday's show. Like, I ran down the list of injuries that Florida is dealing with. Yeah.
Like, they got like 7 starters all over on both sides of the ball combined that are out with injuries right now, and they still were able to put that effort out against Georgia.
Yeah, you say if Trey Wilson plays in that game, do they beat Georgia?
He's out for the season now. So
is he out for the season now?
Yeah,
that's a killer. But you know what? Their young receivers are developing. Young receivers are making plays, and they're doing it with different quarterbacks. I've been super impressed with Billy Napier this year and what the Gators have done.
Yeah,
against this schedule, super impressed, and I think this is warranted by Scott Strickland. I don't know how it's going to be received by the fan base because I think everybody, week after the Miami game, everybody was like, "We're done. He's dead man walking." And to his credit, he's turned it around.
I am again. I can only go off of Twitter at the moment, and looking at the comment section under here, it's a combination of Florida fans who are pretty upset about this, and then a combination of opposing fans who are cheering this move. So that's usually not a good sign.
FSU fans are saying yay, and
no, the FSU fans are not in here. The SEC fans are. But I think there's a lot of things that go into this move. Like, he's 15-18. He has not been able to win enough football games that you probably should at the University of Florida. I think that's true when you're 15-18.
Yes.
But other than the fact that his team is still showing fight and they're still playing hard for him, the other things that are at play here is, number one, money. His buyout, while not in the Mike Norvell territory, it is still $26 million. And $26 million, by the way, would still be the second biggest buyout in the history of college football besides Jimbo's at Texas A&M. So that's at play. And you have to keep in mind the sort of, I don't know if disarray is the right word, but uncertainty at the top right now at the program in regards to their president. Because remember, Ben Sassy stepped down earlier this year, and now Ken Fuck or no? Wait.
Luckily, we're not on radio.
What Ken
Fuchs?
Fuchs? We'll go with that.
Fuchs?
We'll go with that one. He's the guy who originally hired Billy Napier, and he has returned in an interim capacity. So I think when you throw all those things together, I think that's why Billy's probably getting the at least another year to see what they can do.
It also could be just on the recruiting trail, because we're getting down to it, right? We're less than a month away. There's probably a lot of negative recruiting going on in the SEC saying Billy Napier's not going to be there next year. Why are you going to even thinking about going to Florida? You have no idea who the new coach is going to be, blah, 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 blah. And that has an effect on recruiting.
Yeah.
So this is Scott Strickland, I'm sure Napier is coming to him saying, look, everybody thinks I'm gone. Like, how can I recruit when everybody thinks that I'm on the hot seat and I won't be here? So Scott Strickland, I think, his next move is to go out and put out a letter to say he's coming back. Now, listen, if DJ Lagway gets hurt again and it's a hamstring and they get absolutely smoked in their next 3 games and maybe lose to Florida State, you don't think he's firing Billy Napier?
I was going to say, things could still change.
Is the letter binding with a contract extension? No, it's a letter.
It would make you look a little, I mean, in hindsight, you'll look a little silly maybe.
Yeah, but you know what would really look silly? Retaining him. If that were to happen, if you lost to Florida State at the end of this year, he could beat Ole Miss, LSU, and Texas. You lose to Florida State, you're gone. You are gone.
No, that would not.
No, obviously not. But listen, are they going to beat Texas this week? Doubtful. If they win one of those games and beat Florida State like they should, then they're in a bowl game. And with this schedule, for him to get 6 wins, that's unbelievable.
Yeah, and you have to think too. We'll see what happens with Lagway. Lagway has not been ruled out for this week at Texas, by the way. He practiced yesterday.
Yeah, I know.
He's been listed as questionable. So we'll see what happens. But I think the growth that you're seeing from a game-to-game basis with DJ Lagway, and there's still some things he has to clean up, yes. But I think everybody can see that this is a very, very talented quarterback, And so now that you put this message out that, hey, Billy's going to be the head coach in 2025, maybe this is going to help you in the recruiting world, because like I said, Florida right now has the number 32 ranked recruiting class per On3 Sports, which is obviously not where Florida wants to be right now. And they only have 11 commits, the same amount as FSU. Mm-hmm. So maybe this helps you get some more, because now these recruits have more clarity on, hey, Billy's going to be the head coach. And I mean, I would want to play for a team that has DJ Lagway returning as my quarterback, especially if I'm a skilled player. Like, I'd want to play with that dude. And that's a great building block and a foundational piece that you do have.
But you're also not assured that Lagway will come back. So I don't know. And this is the problem with the portal. It's a problem with all these things. It's every college football now is such a year-to-year thing, but unfortunately you have to sign coaches to 6 and 7 year contracts with huge buyouts, and things can change so dramatically in a year. Witness FSU. So I think this is more than anything. This is just a Band-Aid on a recruiting class that probably is leaking oil and needs to be better. And Billy, to his credit, is telling Scott Strickland, hey, how can I recruit when, these kids think I'm not going to be here? What can we do to shore that up? Well, I'll put out a letter and we'll give it to On3 and everybody will make a big deal out of it and think I'm here. Bottom line is, if he doesn't finish strong, and I'm not saying he has to win any of these next 3 games, but you got to beat Florida State. And where are they at now? 5. What are they, 4-4?
Mm-hmm.
So they got to win one of these next 3 and then, get the gimme against FSU. And you're in a bowl game. And I think he secures his job. If he doesn't beat, and again, it matters how they look in these next 3 games. It matters. Because 2 of them are at home, right?
Let me get the schedule up officially so we can go through it. But just on the surface, I think, can they put a fight up against Texas? We'll see. I think it's going to be really tough, because you are coming off an emotional game against your rival in Georgia.
And physical.
And very physical. And now you got to go play Texas on the road. I think that's going to be really tough. But after that, you're going to get a home game against LSU.
Right.
Now, I will say this, JP. Game time, I feel like, matters sometimes in these SEC matchups. That game is not at night. That game is at 3:30. If that game was at night, I would feel really good about Florida's chances to potentially upset LSU. The fact that it's not, I think that sort of matters. Like, I feel like in certain situations it doesn't, but I feel like in those, because I think playing at Florida at night's a different beast. I think you would agree with that.
Well, the fourth quarter will be at night. Now that the time has changed.
True. And we'll see what LSU is going to be coming off a big game against Alabama too. So we'll see what happens there.
And a big physical game there for them as well.
Right. And then you get to play Ole Miss at home as well. Ole Miss, to me, Ole Miss has already dropped a couple games this year. They haven't looked overly impressive for the middle stretch here of this season. So I think you have to think that game is maybe winnable at home. And then, like you said, you're going to end with Florida State, and you can play that game wherever you want. You can play it at whatever time you want. We all know the results of that one. So
Right.
If he gets to 6-6, it's like maybe you wouldn't call it a successful season, but you would probably say, given what was in front of them at the beginning of the year, you would probably take 6-6.
Yeah, I would absolutely. So we'll see how that goes for him. All right, switch. I want to get to some of these comments now, and James has lost his mind when it comes to FSU.
It's not good for the mentals, folks. It's not good for the mentals.
Not good for the relax, man. It's just not going to happen. He's not going to get fired. James says if Norvell stays means Knowles committing to him for 3 years. Why does it? I don't get it. Why is it 3 years? Since no way you go all in the portal for 10 wins, I still think Knowles will consider firing Norvell if they don't believe he can fix this long term. Well, I think they do believe that. And again, the number, the 62 million, just it's off the table. You cannot afford a buyout.
No,
like
and
that
by the way,
forward.
And don't pay the buyout money. Use the money that you would pay to buy him out and go and try to get the best staff that you possibly can and try to get the best players you possibly can.
Yeah, because it's not just 62 million.
Because if you fire
to the
Norvell, now you got to pay all that money to him. Then you got to pay another head coach coming in. And what money do you have to go pay a head coach that you think is better than Mike Norvell? Then you got to pay all the assistants, and then you got to have player retention and player acquisition. Like, you're just making it even more hard on yourself by doing that.
Yeah. And don't forget there's a lawsuit going on, and the revenues are not where they,
if Florida State JP was in the SEC and they were bringing in those revenues, then I think we might be able to talk about Mike Norvell's job a little bit more.
I agree. Drew Jetson says the football gods are mad at FSU for not playing the players in the bowl game against Georgia.
Well, did you see too? CJ Wiley, the receiver recruit, committed to Georgia yesterday.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
So he was in the FSU class?
He was the top receiver in the FSU class. Yeah, he was the last one that stayed, and then he committed to Georgia yesterday.
It's brutal. They're going to have to hit the portal hard again. And listen, he did it 2 years in a row, got double-digit wins in the portal. Again, I think the portal's changed a little bit, but NIL money, guys are signing because of money. So you should be able to, and the FSU's got plenty of NIL money. They should be able to go out and get some good players. And they got to get quarterback right. A Cam Ward changes everything. I don't know if there's going to be a Cam Ward in the portal this year. I don't know. But the bottom line is Mike Norvell, as James pointed out right here, was 19-0 with Jordan Travis. And that's true. Well, actually, no, he won a couple games without Jordan Travis, the Florida game and the ACC championship game. So, and a cupcake in between there. So, yeah, I where it is for Florida State right now has nothing to do with the money is there for NIL, but they're not going to fire Norvell. I think it's just a waste of time talking about it. He's just what you got to talk about now is, to your point, making enough moves in the offseason where people feel that this program is headed in a different direction. They've got more Florida-focused recruiting going on in high school recruiting, Southeast recruiting, and bring in some guys that are really, really good at that, because that's something that has been a blind spot for Florida State. They've not been able to recruit high school recruiting like they did. But look, this is not rocket science when it comes to modern-day college football. High school recruiting is still king. You've got to put together good classes in the top 20 almost in the top 10 to compete at an elite level. That's what the numbers show you. The national champions, the ones that have been in the playoff for years and years and years, consistently put together top 10, 15 ranking class. There are some outliers, TCU, I get it. But even TCU had the greatest portal class when they got into the college football playoff. So it's still about high school recruiting, and FSU has not done a good enough job in that area, and they need to be light years better, because right now there's classes in the 30s, the low 30s.
It still doesn't excuse, even if you're not recruiting at that level. Like, to me, like, when we talk about you got to recruit that level, that's to be in like national championship conversations.
Right.
Even where they've been at under Mike Norvell, it still should never have gotten to this point.
Oh,
and
God,
that falls completely that falls completely on your talent evaluation and your talent development.
Right.
None of that's happening. You should not have an
And
offense
game day coaching.
You should not have an offense that rivals only Kent State in the entire country.
Brutal.
That's the unacceptable part.
You can look at teams all through the top 25. Look at Indiana. Look at Iowa State. They got one fifth the resources that
Washington State. Washington State is ranked right now, and they're not even in they got left out to dry with the Pac-12 getting blown up. Like, there's so many other programs, like you said, that are working with much less than you are.
Yep.
And you don't have anything that's functionable at all.
All right, let's get some of the other comments here. Because I think people are tired of talking about Florida State, to be honest. Nathan Elliott, good morning to you, my friend. Says Falcons can lose against the Broncos, Commanders, Vikings, and Chargers, and hopefully some other random game. Yes, absolutely they can. But we're also already saying that the Bucs are going to run the table and lose to the 49ers. No,
I think they're going to stub their toe against somebody they should not lose to.
Because they've got to, at this point, win 6 of the final 7 games, right?
Yeah, if you lose this game to San Francisco and you're 4-6, you have 1 loss left. That's it.
Yeah,
that's it. You're not going 9-8 and making the wild card this year. Not happening.
Yeah, but the only team left on your schedule with a winning record is the Chargers.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think if you get to 10 wins, there's 3 wild cards. If you get to 10 wins and you have the tiebreaker advantage over the Commanders, the Eagles, it's the other NFC team that might be in the mix.
You got to figure out Green Bay, Minnesota, Detroit, and
Detroit.
Then the NFC
Detroit's
West,
probably going to win their division, so they're not going to be in the
NFC West is interesting because Arizona's on top at 5-4, San Francisco's 4-4, the Rams are 4-4, and the Seahawks are 4-5. So
that's why this is a must-win for me, because
it's a logjam.
Yeah, this is why this is a must-win for me, because I think the best you can do this year is 10 wins, which, by the way, we said at the beginning of the year. Best you can do is 10 wins. And in that category that's going to have 10 wins that in the NFC that you might have will be the Commanders, could be there, although I think they might get more. The Eagles, who've won 4 in a row. But I think these are 2 teams that could be in that 10-win category, and the 49ers. All 3 of those teams. Now, you've already got the tiebreaker with those 2. And if you get this one, you get the 5-5, and now you have 3 tiebreakers against NFC teams that might be in the 10-win category, right? So you don't have to beat the Falcons. You don't have to get to 1 game ahead of the Falcons because they obviously have the tiebreaker on you.
Well, keep in mind, too, that the games that you're mentioning, one of Washington and one of Philly is going to win the NFC East.
Right.
So that won't even matter. And then Detroit is going to win the NFC North, clearly. Right. So that one doesn't matter. So you're really looking at the Washington, Philly sort of, which one of those are you going to get the tiebreaker over if you're tied with them?
And the 49ers.
Those two teams are playing much better football than you are right now.
That's right. That's it. I mean, this presupposes that you get to 10 wins. And right now, that's very much up in the air for the Buccaneers. Very much up in the air. That's why this game is critical. And that's why you're being a 2-point conversion away from 5-4 is just, you're going to look back on that and go, right, 2 yards. For 2 yards, you could be 5-4. 2 yards.
To Nathan's comment right here, he said, Nick, no faith Gettys. If Bucs win Sunday, there's no reason they cannot run the table. After this week, the rest of the teams are trash. Okay.
Your defense is 31st.
This is what I'm saying. Last year's team was able to go on a run. I think last year, at least they weren't playing great defense, but they were competent at times, okay? And they caught fire in the second half a little bit. I'm telling you that I don't think that there's a fix to this defense right now. I don't see it, okay? And your offense, yes, is much better. You're going to get Mike back after the bye week, potentially, hopefully, right? So that's going to make your offense even better. Like, there are some good parts on this football team, but I don't think they're good enough, JP, as a well-rounded unit, as a football team, and as a coaching staff to do what they did last year. And to me, that's not a sustainable practice. It's incredibly hard to win 1 football game. It is hard to do it. Every team, even though there are some teams who just are bad football teams, and there's some teams that are elite football teams, it's hard to beat anybody in this league. You know that. You've been covering the league for a long time. I mean, look at what's happened this year. The Ravens, when they played the Bucs, looked like they were never going to ever lose another game. Yep. They lost a game the week right after. They've lost to the Raiders this year. Like, they lost to the Browns. Like, it's not easy to win football games in this league. And to try to win 6 of 7 or pull off some win streak like they did last year, that's so hard to bank on doing that again.
Without Chris Godwin.
Correct. And with a defense that's 31st in the league.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to say
you're being realistic.
I'm not trying to say I have no faith. I'm just, you have to look at it a little bit closer.
At some point, you got to bank wins, right? And we're to that point. You've given away 2 games against Atlanta that you should have won. And I would argue you should have beat the Chiefs too with a 2-point conversion. At least you got a coin flip. I mean, 2-point conversions are 50%. That's about 48%. I know this year the number's a little bit lower, but just historically it's about 48%. And so you got basically a 50-50 chance to win the game. And that's just analytics now, which does not take into consideration the defense is tired. It's late in the game. It's raining. Right. Offense is hot. You're on a roll. They're feeling the pressure. They're at home. They're undefeated. Their defense is feeling the pressure. That's a great opportunity to go win that game. And you didn't even give it a shot. You didn't even give it a shot. So they should have won that game. They should have won both the Atlanta games. Just give me one of those, and you're 5-4.
And if
you're in really good shape.
And it didn't happen. So now you have to we have to take it one game at a time. And this week,
right.
San Francisco's coming in. And listen, the difference in playing San Francisco this year than San Francisco in the other year, San Francisco's spot in the playoffs is already solidified. Okay, we knew that they were one of the handful best teams in the league. This year, San Francisco's 4-4. Okay, they've had a lot of injuries. They've lost some games that they probably shouldn't have lost. They've had some issues there, but that to me doesn't help you at all, though, because San Francisco's in the same boat as you. They got to go. This is go time. And in their minds, hey,
it's a must win.
The offensive player of the year last year, even though he hasn't played in a minute, he's back. And by the way, it doesn't even matter, because the 49ers, they could throw Jordan Mason back there. They could throw Garendo back there. They could throw Juszczyk back there for all I care. They're always going to be able to run the ball. Devo's there. Kittle's the best tight end in football this year. Jawan Jennings, I think, is probably going to be back. There is still a lot of talent on this team. And consider the fact the last 2 years that Todd Bowles has faced Brock Purdy in this offense. Brock Purdy, the first year, which was his first ever start, 16-21, 3 touchdowns. Last year, 21-25, 333 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a perfect passer rating.
Yikes. Yeah. Yeah. And that may have been a better defense at that point. I don't know.
Correct.
But but I still think they can beat. They should have beat the Chiefs on the road.
You got to outscore them. You have to. You have to outscore them. You have to.
Yeah. All right. Let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll hear from Baker Mayfield. We'll cue that up for you. Hear a little Todd Bowles, and we're going to get to the Michael Kelly stuff as well in our final half hour. We're brought to you by the Gold and Diamond Source, folks. They have a whole new section for you men's out there. Like great watches, it's there at the Gold and Diamond Source. So go check it out. See all the new watches they have there. They have used watches as well if you're looking for something a little better price point for you. And while you're there, get something for your honey as well. That's always nice, right? If you're looking for that engagement ring, there is no better place to go than the Gold and Diamond Source. They are trusted, and they've been over 40 years. Gold and Diamond Source, 3800 Homerton Road. Always online at goldendiamondsource.com. Back in 3. We've had a lot of fun with the monthly birthstones, and October is no different, where the birthstones are opal and tourmaline. All the colors of the evening sky are captured in the mysterious shifting hues of opal, and tourmaline has a color palette for every mood. Did you know that opals have been cherished for centuries, associated with royalty and good fortune? Tourmaline was once thought to protect against evil and enhance spiritual connection, adding to its allure. And during the 40th anniversary, you could find a special selection of this precious gemstone, from stunning rings and necklaces to elegant earrings and bracelets. Of course, Steve Weintraub handpicks every piece for its brilliance and quality. The expert staff will help you find the perfect gift, whether it's for a loved one, a special occasion, or a treat for yourself. Visit the Gold and Diamond Source today, where you'll always find the perfect gift. It's more than jewelry, it's love.
Hey Tampa Bay sports fans, this is 2-time LPGA major champion Jane Geddes here. After winning the US Open and 10 other LPGA events, I wanted to try something completely different. So I came right off the top turnbuckle and landed in the crazy world of WWE. And yes, you heard that right. That's WWE. Working for the Vince McMahon as the VP of Talent Relations for the company. Now, though, I want to work for you. Everything I've done in my life, I've done with incredible passion. And now I've turned my focus to leading the best real estate team in Tampa Bay, the Gators Gordon Group with Keller Williams in South Tampa. If you're looking for a new home, an investment property, or looking to sell your current home, we will give you major championship level service. When you choose Gators Gordon Group, you become part of our inner circle, like family. So if you're looking for a few golf tips or a golf course view, we're going to stripe it right down the fairway. Call me at 813-485-6808 or go to gettysgordongroup.com, or again, give me a ring at 813-485-6808.
JP here for Third Generation AC and Plumbing. And Third Generation really says it all, folks. The owner, my friend John Rodriguez, has been in the AC and plumbing business since 1995. They built their business on honest assessments and doing great work on time for a great price. Simple, right? Did you know many AC techs are incentivized on big commissions to sell new AC units, and you might just need a drain cleared? So if you want someone you can trust, that's John Rodriguez and Third Generation Services. Check out the 5-star Google reviews. If you have a plumbing or AC emergency, call 813-961-8024 and a human will answer the phone. That's 813-961-8024 or go to thirdgenerationplumbing.com. Hey, it's football season, so we welcome back the FSU Football Report every Monday and Friday on the JP Peterson Show, sponsored by those huge FSU fans at Italiano Insurance. They'll save you money as well. Just do a quick insurance checkup, 813-877-7799. They just saved me $500 on homeowners insurance. Who's doing that? Yeah, they just shopped it around, found a better, cheaper company, and we got a cheaper price. And business insurance. Make sure you're covered or you could lose your personal wealth. That's 813-877-7799. ItalianoInsurance.com. Go Noles.
Ciao, Paolo Tini here, owner of Caffè Paradiso, one of South Tampa premier traditional Italian restaurant. We were recently voted number 3 on Open Table list of Tampa Bay's top 10 restaurants. We're very proud of that because we take great care of preparing each dish by hand with homemade sauces, pastas, only the freshest local ingredients. You won't see the big institutional vendor trucks pulling up to our back door. We get our seafood from local vendors. Sometimes I even drive out to Tarpon Springs and pick out our daily catch right off those boats. So stop by and say hello. Try our traditional lasagna, the fresh veal, some of our signature dishes like capelli al granchio, that is angel hair with lump crab meat, our branzino, that is a sea bass. We're located at 4205 South McDill, and you can make a reservation on Open Table and read all the great reviews. See you soon. Ciao. Grazie.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
Show here brought to you by the folks at Cafe Paradiso. Sorry you missed the company dinner there, Nick, when John and Timmy were in town. It's my bad. At Cafe Paradiso.
I missed the company dinner. I missed orientation today at the studio. I'm just I'm a bad employee.
You gotta get with the program, bro. Well, today's your fault, or your car's fault. The other one was my fault, so I apologize. But yeah, what a meal we had at Cafe Paradiso. Great service by people that have been doing that. Particular server, and I forget his name. I think it's Anton, maybe. Every time I go there, he's there. He's been with Paulo for over 20 years. And that makes a difference. When you've got somebody, when working at a restaurant, they're professional waiters, in the white shirt, the tie, and they know what they're doing. They know the menu. And it's just fantastic. It makes such a difference. And then the food is fantastic as well. And the wine was perfect. So it's Cafe Paradiso right there on South McDill, number 3 on the Open Table list. So go over there, get a reservation, and tell them JP sent you. All right. You want to listen to Baker? A little Baker Mayfield there?
Yeah, let me get him open here.
Baker met with the media yesterday. And by the way, he was asked about going for 2 in that situation. And, he kind of played it down the middle, to be quite honest. He's not going to throw his coaching staff under the bus, right? But he also doesn't want people to think, of course he wanted to go for 2. Of course Baker wanted to go for 2. And I'm sure they had a great play that they thought they could get it with. So he's not going to come out and bury, that's a stupid thing to do. But he definitely wanted to go for 2. What's this soundbite we have here?
Yeah,
We'll
this is a
listen to
quick
little bit of
clip. He was asked about how they avoid sort of the spiraling out of control here in the second half of the season, and then he touches a little bit on what the offense can do better.
One, obviously, one singular game focus, but knowing that the bye weeks after this one is going to be a huge help for us to get some guys back. But yeah, offensively, and I'll just speak on that, is, I mentioned it after the game, was, leaving 3 points before halftime is a huge thing. So, and that goes back to, in the weeks prior of the turnovers that I had in the red zone or past the 50, making sure we're doing everything we can on offense to not leave points out there. So that's what we're focused on, is finishing drives, still trying to find some ways to get explosives. We're doing a good job of driving the ball on everybody, but need to finish, but need to find more explosives as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's hard to do without Mike and Chris, but they found a way to do it. They found a way to move the ball and score points. And I think they're going to get better and better at it as, Raheem Jarrett, Ryan Miller catches a big time touchdown pass, as Todd Bowles said, because nobody was expecting it from him. So I get it. But I'm not really concerned about the offense, even though this is an excellent 49ers defense. They play really physical defense.
Yeah, it is. But I just feel like you went up against one of the league's best defenses last week, at least the best defensive play call in the league, and Spags, and you were able to put 24 up on them. And so that, to me, I have even more confidence in this offense than I already thought I did. And let's also say this, and I guess this is me admitting that I was a little wrong. Cade Otton, the way he's playing over the last 3 weeks has just been, exceptional. He might, like, I don't know if I had him on my bingo board of becoming the number one guy in the offense, even when Mike and Chris went down, but he's absolutely delivered. I called him, he's just a guy, he's not that athletic, not a game difference maker, but he's making some tough catches right now. Tough catches. He's taking hits all over the field.
Big time.
He's getting back up. Like, there's so much toughness out of 88 right now. He's balling. So, I know we're giving a lot of credit to Liam Cohen. And of course, he schemed up the touchdown to get Cade Otton open there on that touchdown there about around the 5-yard line against Kansas City. It was a great play call, but they're running a lot through Cade right now, and he's not shy from the moment. So
no.
that's the greatest. I think that's a really big development we've seen here without Mike and Chris.
Yeah, and also, Sean Tucker is being revealed as a weapon. I would love to see a lot more Sean Tucker. I would love to see a lot more Sean Tucker in the passing game and in the running game. And Bucky Irving has been fantastic. He's got the best jump cut in football. Saquon may have the best jump backwards, make people miss. But yeah. Bucky's got the best jump cut in football. So he's going to get the ball.
And even the O-line, we haven't talked about them much. And it's because when we're not talking about the O-line, it's typically a good thing. But the O-line, I think, has really played well. Like, who
else has stepped up his game big time? Who? Rashad White.
Yeah.
Rashad White. And isn't it funny when you get real competition behind you and you got guys pushing you, suddenly Rashad White is ripping off touchdown runs and making great plays in the passing game. I've always thought he's a really good player, but his running skills and production have been not as good as the other guys, but even he stepped up lately. This offense is good enough to beat the 49ers. Here's an interesting thought from Nathan Elliott, and I think it's true. He says, since Bowles has been hired, his defenses have always gone on defensive runs. Every year they do that. I don't understand why, but it is what they do every year. History speaks loud. And, going through the 6 of 7 that they won last year, and even in the playoff game, they played really, really well. And what we've seen recently, though, although I will say this, I think they played much better last week against the Chiefs. Wouldn't you agree? I know they gave up 30 points, overtime, but they gave up 24 in the game, and they weren't great in the fourth quarter, but I think they were gassed because they were out there so long. And that shouldn't be an excuse, by the way, but these soft training camps and everything else down here, the teams don't seem to be able to play in the fourth quarter.
You can maybe say they played better, but I still point to the fact that they couldn't get off the field on third down. In the third and fourth quarter, they let Kareem Hunt sort of take over that football game on the ground. Vita Vea was the guy who I think, that was one of the best games Vita Vea has ever played in a Buccaneer uniform, right? With 10 tackles.
And he played a lot more snaps too.
And he played a lot more snaps, but The middle of the field was still an issue. There's not much you can do with Josh Hayes, to be honest with you.
Or KJ Britt.
I think
Although
I
JJ
think
Russell played better.
you could say that they played better in relative to some of the other games before it, but it's just not. It's nowhere near good enough.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. Do we have the bowl stuff?
Yeah, let me throw him here.
So yeah, Todd talked yesterday and did speak a little bit about the decision to go for 2, and said that basically the whole staff talked about. Do you believe everybody on that staff was in agreement to go for 1?
No.
Is that even possible? Come on.
I really don't.
When the rest of the world, anybody I've seen comment on it, I don't think I've seen one person, from Troy Aikman to everybody else, I've seen it's go for 2. And I know because of the fact that they didn't win the game, nobody's jumping out and saying, no, I thought they should go for 1. I get that. I totally understand that. But even in real time, I'm watching my Twitter and I'm like, no. And it just,
right.
We've gone over the decision 10 times. It's just, I don't think you can.
It'll never make sense.
But
yeah, let's listen to Bowles here. Him sort of tying a bow on that and looking ahead to San Francisco.
Yeah, this is from yesterday.
Afternoon.
Good afternoon. Love that hoodie right there, though.
Kind of a walkthrough type deal today, but is there anything you can determine as far as the health of some of these guys who got nicked up through the night?
Hopefully, Greg will look a little better. He's trending towards the right way. He would be the main one from a positive standpoint.
With Jalen, I know that it happened late last week. Was that something that was like an actual aggravation or something where he just took a turn for the worse late in the week?
It's just aggravated. Just took a turn for the worse Friday, and it didn't get any better yet. So we're waiting to see how he feels.
Is there something that every team has injuries with, especially at the receiver defensive back position? But in Liam's offense, he said at the beginning of the year, these guys are going to be running a lot of motion, a lot of this kind of thing, even in practice. Has that compounded any of this, do you think?
I don't think so. He missed some time earlier, and it wasn't a hamstring. So, the running, it just happened on Friday. We was doing pretty good. It's not like it was a overall hard thing to do because it was red zone and goal line. So it was just one of those things.
49ers are a team that you've played over the past couple of seasons. What has kind of given the Bucs issues when facing 49ers?
I mean, they're talented. They're very well coached on both sides of the ball. They got a lot of talent. We got to deal with a bunch of different obstacles on offense and defensively. They're very talented, can get after the passer as well. And they game some very good cover guys. So we got to be on our P's and Q's. We can't turn the ball over, and we got to get some stops defensively.
We talked after the game Monday night about the frustrations on third down and not being like off the field on defense. But it's actually been worse on fourth down this year. You guys have given up 14 conversions on fourth down. Is there something you point to? They're not all just 4-1 type plays, but why, when it kind of means the most, the defense has struggled with that?
Part of the time we got pressure and we didn't cover the right way. Part of the time we covered long enough and didn't get any pressure. So it's a combination of both. We got to make plays and get off the field. It's got to be an urgency. There is an urgency, and we play hard. We just got to play smart, and we got to understand things in those situations.
Kate is really flourishing with Mike and Chris out, and with somebody you really need to step up. Where have you seen the biggest growth with him over the last year?
It's really been his route running. Not that he couldn't do it. I don't think we've asked him to do it because we had the other guys out there doing it. So just asking him to step up more in a receiver role, you really see his route running prowess and you see his precision.
That would cause this thing to kind of get open, given the fact that, everybody knows that the teams you're facing, that he's been your go-to guy, and there's no stopping.
They're scheming it well, too. So you got to deal with a lot of other aspects other than Cade. So it kind of schemes him open and he gets open.
Can you tell me, like with Ryan Miller, you got him, obviously, undrafted guy, got a firm, been around the practice squad, just what the process has been for him. Obviously, opportunity, right? But like what it's been for him and what you like about his game.
It's been a grind for him. Not only that, he was a tight end in college. So, this is the wideout stuff is new for him, but he's a worker. He's probably not the fastest or probably not the quickest, but he's one of the toughest. He understands every position. He plays the game the right way. He's always in the right spot. He has outstanding hands, and the game's never too big for him. He always competes. And, when you have a guy like that, it's easy to keep him around.
Moment, right? Like they go to him in that situation where you have to score a touchdown that shows that you knew he would be in the right place, I guess, or Baker did.
Yeah, shows we didn't think they would cover him. So
Probably, right.
I think he's on the scouting report now, so we can't hide him anymore. But he does all the right things, and he made a good play.
It looks like they might have Christian McCaffrey back. I know how dangerous it is. What's the key for you guys on defense if he is back?
That's just another weapon we got to worry about. Along with him, Debo, Kittles, Purdy as well. You got to worry about 5 different guys. You can't just worry about McCaffrey. So we got to be sound defensively, and everybody's got to do their assignment because they're talented all over the field.
We talked about Vita a little bit the other day. Do you think him and Kancey are now, because Kancey missed some time both seasons really, but they're just starting to learn how to kind of play off each other? Is that, because obviously you're getting a lot of pressure inside from both those guys?
I believe so, and they're talking more. They're talking more amongst themselves, and they're setting each other up to do things that we haven't done before, and they're helping each other out. Each other gets sacks, and they're working together, so that looks good.
You mentioned Brock Purdy. Both times that you faced him, he's had a few of his better games. Last year, he completed over 80% of his passes. What are some of the challenges in stopping such an efficient quarterback?
Like I said, he got a lot of weapons. They can run the ball as well. They have a very good offensive line. He can just throw to the open guy. They have 5 talented guys that can catch the football. We got to be sound, and we got to be able to get pressure on them.
And there's Todd Bowles going through some of the injuries and some of the other questions there. The 4th down conversions, boy, that jumped off at me. 14 4th down conversions out of how many? I was looking up that stat. I was going to try to find that stat.
It almost doesn't even seem real.
I mean, I've known it's like every time you see a team go for 4th down, it hasn't been, it hasn't been a good situation. And those are game-winning plays. I mean, let's just be honest. Those are huge game-winning plays. And 14, and it's also now a lot of them are 4th and 1s, right? A lot of them are 4th and 1s. But you got to be able to make some of those stops. 14 is.
Yeah, I don't know how many there's been, but it's a 74% conversion rate, which is 29th in the league.
Well, there you go. There you go. So many of the defensive stats are bad, and they shouldn't be this bad. I don't ever remember a Bulls defense being this bad. And I know they played some pretty good quarterbacks, and they, maybe it'll regress to the mean in the second half of the season, but this is aggressively bad. I don't remember it ever being this bad. The numbers, especially the stats, are off the charts. And it's not like what are the 49ers are 4th in the league in scoring?
Mm-hmm. They're right behind the Bucs.
Yeah. Okay. Well, at some point he's got to go on a run. At some point it's got to get better. We've seen that. We've seen that with Bulls defenses. We've seen them. And I thought they played pretty well in the first half. They got some sacks against Mahomes. They made some stops. But second half was a completely different story. And definitely in crunch time, when they needed it, the Chiefs did everything they needed to do. And on 3rd down as well. 12 of 18 on 3rd down overall. Disgraceful. And all 4 of their touchdowns were on 3rd down as well. That's think about that. You make 2 of those plays. You turn touchdowns into field goals. Well, of course, that does leave 4th down where you give up the booty at a 79% rate. So, yeah, you got to get stops, and that's something that they did do well last year was red zone defense and force field goals instead of touchdowns. That's not happening.
No.
All right, we'll take our final break. When we come back, big times things happening at USF. The stadium dedication is tomorrow. We'll hear Michael Kelly talk about that, their athletic director, and we got some notes on the Lightning tonight as they are back home against the Flyers in a game they really, really need to win. So quick break. We're brought to you by Third Generation Plumbing and AC. They do it all over there. If you need any home repairs from plumbing.com. That's their website. Go to their website, call them, send them an email. They'll come right over. They did some work here at the studio last week. We called them, and they were here within about 45 minutes, took care of the plumbing emergency that Tim created, and boom, they were back in business, and great service as always. thirdgenerationplumbing.com. And they also do AC if you need a new unit from the hurricane. Back in 3. Hey, it's football season, and we welcome back the Gator Report every Monday and Friday, sponsored by the Jeeves Law Group, Jeeves lawgroup.com. Just go to the website. You can contact them through there. Scott Jeeves is a tremendous, aggressive attorney and a big Gator fan, so we appreciate him supporting this show and, of course, your Florida Gators. They are local, they are trusted, and they get results. Whether it's personal injury or anything else, any law matter at all, it's the Jeeves Law Group, Jeeves lawgroup.com. Give them a call. Tell them JP sent you. All right, this is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on True Body and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. JP here to ask the question, are you planning an event, meeting, or conference? If so, you'll want to call the designers and production professionals at Extravaganza Productions Incorporated. With over 35 years of experience in the events industry, designing and producing every type of small to large event, they can provide a huge resource for design ideas, audio, visual, sound, lighting, decor, and entertainment to turn your event into an incredible experience for the entire audience. Folks, I've worked up close and personal with this group at many national events and Tampa events, and they have unique capabilities that help you save time and money in the planning and execution of your next event. Don't delay. Call these pros today at 813-621-4700 or check out their website at extravaganzaproductions.com. Tell them JP sent you, and they'll provide a free initial consultation for your event. Extravaganza Productions, the best in the business. Golfers, listen up. The hottest new driving range craze has come to Rogers Park in Tampa. The Top Tracer range is now open 10 to 9 p.m. And just like you see on TV, every shot is tracked for yardage and accuracy, giving you immediate feedback. And best of all, you can virtually play the top courses like Pebble Beach or St. Andrews with your buddies. Plus, great food and drink options available in the well-appointed hitting bays. Very comfortable out there. Reservations highly recommended, starting at $25 per hour, including balls. Reserve at RogersParkGolf.net. That's RogersParkGolf.net. See you there.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here on this Thursday. Big weekend of games coming up, football-wise. We didn't get to the college football playoff today, but we'll talk some USF here. And the line rushes at the Lightning today. No, Braden Point was out at practice, so that's a good thing.
He's not playing. He's out, though, tonight.
But he's not going to play tonight.
Because they have 6 days off after this one against Philly.
So they want to get him. He's got a lower body injury. So don't know exactly what that is, but Gabby Shirley was at the morning skate, and she has some Braden Point out there, but he was not working on the power play, so he's not playing tonight. So you had Gensel, Sorelli, and Kucherov as the top line. That's interesting. Hagel, Paul, and Chafee. Well, Chafee had a great goal the other night. It was nice. Need for him to step up and start scoring more. No doubt.
I need anybody in the bottom six to step up.
Good Lord. Gergensons, Geeky, and Gonsalves, is playing, brought up from Syracuse. They're playing on the third line, and Acemont, Glendenning, and Atkinson on the fourth line. Man, boy, without Braden Point in there.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
I was like, that looks like a really average team. I mean, you look at the roster now, and I'm just thinking, well, let's go back to the Cup team. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, we don't need to go backwards, but no, that was a bad road trip for them.
Yeah,
bad, especially the last 2 games where they got outplayed,
and they had leads too. I think 2 out of the 3 games they're down 1 in St. Louis. You get no points out of that. The other 2 games were tied. You get no points out of that. Only 2 points out of the road trip.
I'm just going to point this out here real quick. I don't know if you saw, but Barry Trotz yesterday went on the radio in Nashville and said that if they don't start picking this up sooner rather than later, because they're in the bottom of their division, then they're going to go back into their rebuild plan. Okay.
Wow.
I think you know where I'm getting at here. If you're interested in eating a healthy chunk of 91 salary, would you like to give them back so the Lightning can fix their power play again?
Wow. Wouldn't that be an interesting development? We got McDonough back from them.
Yeah, you want to we just loaned him to you for 15 games and we had our tribute, but now can we have him back, please? Eat the salary. You eat the salary, but give him back.
I don't think that's happening. It's probably, that's Trotz trying to motivate his team. Let's be honest, but interesting. D pairs this morning. No shock here. Hedman, Moser, McDonough, Chernak, Lilleberg, Perbix, and Radish working there as well. So Flyers tonight, 7:00 puck drop. It's a must win for them. I mean, not a must win, but you've lost 3 in a row. You don't play for a week after this too.
Yeah, and your Flyers are not playing. We're not good right now. And Torts, his last press. I love watching Torts pressers. His last pressers, he spoke for 25 seconds. He answered 4 questions, and he answered them all with 1 word, and then walked off.
Attaboy. That'd be
classic.
Yeah, classic Torts. He's not going to walk around acting like things are all
hunky-dory. And his top that draft pick, Mitchkov or whatever, who came from Russia this year to play, who's been electric in some games. He's a healthy scratch tonight. So Torts is already doing his thing with the young players.
Wow, the whole Vinny thing going on here, huh? All right,
a little bit.
Well, it's for the most part, it's worked in his career. I don't know. I think his time is maybe past in terms of dealing with these players. I think he would have been a much better coach in the 90s, 87, 80s, and 90s. I think that would have worked out real well for him. But it'll be good to see him tonight for sure. I'm gonna go say hello. All right, the stadium dedication for USF got postponed, of course, because of all the hurricanes and the tragic death of Amir Abdur-Rahim. Mike Kelly joined us yesterday, their AD, for a half hour to start the show. Some great stuff from that. If you want to catch that, you can always go to our YouTube or Spotify, Apple, catch the podcast. He was on to start the show. So we asked him a little bit about the new stadium, and here's some thoughts on what it's going to be like and what's going on Friday.
Going on at USF. Let's talk stadium here. I know you had to obviously delay the groundbreaking, but that's happening on Friday. Tell us a little bit about that, and it's just what this means for this university. It's been coming for a long time, but the moment is here. It's a big deal.
Yeah, it's going to be a special day. 3:30 on Friday. We're going to be able to break ground on that stadium. As we all know, it's a very historically significant site. It's the site on Sycamore Fields where back 27 years ago, that's where Coach Levitt and all the original team would practice on. That was our original practice field. So to kind of have our forever home be at the same place where the first drops of blood, sweat, and tears were is a historically significant thing. But it's also just an awesome location for completing what I think is going to be one of the finest athletic districts in college sports, to have it really adjacent to our indoor that we just built last year, to kind of know that the operations building component of it will be right there. So thinking about the training aspect for our football program forevermore will be elite and second to none. And then building a very modern and right-sized stadium that's branded the right way and everything. It's going to be tremendous. So it'll be a magical day, something that Bulls fans have looked forward to since we ever started. I know it's a long time coming, but I also think in the big scheme of things, we want things instantaneously nowadays. I know that.
Right. Yep.
But the university put some great priorities on attaining some academic goals with preeminence and AAU, and we're now kind of working together with getting more support from the community and from the university to put these things athletically on the horizon. And they're not doing it just for athletics. They know what it'll do for student spirit, for school spirit, for student life, for engagement with the community at large, but certainly with the 400,000 alums of USF that can now, when they come to homecoming, like we have homecoming this week, playing Navy down at Raymond James. It'll be awesome. Great day playing, great opponent coming in. But, it's one thing to have a couple hours of fun at Raymond James, but when you get to come back to a campus like so many other prominent college programs do, that's
different,
special. And that's something we just haven't had the opportunity to. And now we will going forward from 2027 and beyond. So it'll be a great day, and can't thank the leadership of Will Weatherford and Rhea Law and many, many others that have helped make this possible. But we're excited about it.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing for USF to finally get that on-campus stadium. I always thought you need to get the fan base built up first before you spend all that money. But, frankly, after watching what UCF did, it's a no-brainer, and they had to do it, and they got it done. They got it done, and that'll be operational before the Rays Stadium will be operational.
And I saw they had new renderings yesterday that came out.
Yeah, really cool. I just retweeted that.
They looked really nice, especially the tailgate section being right outside the stadium.
Yeah.
I love that. So it's going to be a big deal. And as you mentioned, it could host concerts and things like that as well. Which brings in additional revenue. So
replace our horrible amphitheater that we have now.
Right. Hey,
and that all student section is just with the Bulls logo. And they have the DJ booth.
Right.
The first student section with a DJ booth. Love that. Tailgates, all of it, man. It's going to be fantastic.
Hey, before we go, I wanted to hit this one because I know you probably would have a thought or two on this one. Not to leave our Rays out here as the hot stove is about to get really hot, but
not for us.
So John Heyman.
That's right. We're in on it with Juan Soto.
Yeah, I was going to say, John Heyman puts the report out there yesterday that 7 teams have reached out to Juan Soto, and wouldn't you know it, the Rays are one of the 7 teams on that list next to all the other 6 teams that actually are interested in spending money.
Yeah.
We don't need to fall for this. We don't need to fall for this. Like,
I've tried to teach you guys for many, many years, but you wouldn't listen. Maybe now you've learned your lesson.
Like, as I told you off air before we started the show, I said they're probably inquiring about like a layaway option or something like that. Also, to make it even more out of the realm of possibility, his agent is Scott Boras.
Right.
Like, they inquired, did Scott answer their phone call? Like, we don't know that. We don't know yet.
He probably saw his phone and went, "Oh, this ought to be funny."
He said, "Oh, the Rays,
good.
The Rays are ringing. Huh? Yeah. Interesting." Yeah, no, it's not happening, folks.
What's up, Eric? What do you want? You need something about Wander's contract? What do you want? I don't know. No, they're not going after one. They'll leak it out like they always do with these big guys. They have no interest. They're never paying the freight. It's not going to happen. Not that he would even consider it. And the fact that he's a Boras client makes it completely unbelievable. So if y'all want to get all excited about that, fine.
I was going to say, if Juan Soto can't even commit to the Yankees after going to the World Series with them, there's nothing else that needs to be said. Nothing else.
We did re-sign Brandon Lau for $10 million. So is that prorated on the 60 games he misses every year or 100 games?
Probably.
Or is that, or does he get the full thing? He gets the full thing. Yeah, that's right.
But I think that was the right move.
Well, you got a $45 million payroll. How can it not be the right man? Nobody on the $45 million can hit or score runs.
Yeah.
So
Brandon had some rough moments this past season, but I thought the second half of the season, he
was good.
He caught fire, which he tends to do. And he was one of the only guys in that lineup that had a pulse at the end of the year. So he's your power hitter. Yep. And listen, it's hard to find power at that position. And Absolutely. Brandon Lau is one of the very best.
He's a plus defender.
His fielding improved.
I would like, any other team, I'd say move on and maybe try to find a young player. And there's some good young players in the pipeline and spend that money on more reliable. But I know they won't spend the money. They won't go out and get other big money free agents. They just won't do it. So they need to sign him and then augment it with 2 or 3 more offensive minded players for the worst offense in the league. Besides the White Sox, they don't even count. They're not a major league team.
I think the Angels and the White Sox are the only 3 teams that did not have anybody up for a Silver Slugger this year in the league.
Yeah. So and where the hell are they going to play? Have we heard anything from Stu Sternberg in 3 weeks since? How long has it been? 3 weeks since the roof blew off? Not one word from the owner?
Pushing a month, no.
Pushing a month. Not one word. A statement, and that's it. Nothing.
I don't know. I know Manfred spoke about it during the World Series, I think, a little bit.
Yeah. Well, and he said they're going to stay in the Tampa Bay area. And then Pinellas County says, we're not giving you the money unless you play in Clearwater or Dunedin, which is a nightmare.
By the way, that's a ridiculous thing for Pinellas County to say. I think that's absolutely ridiculous, and I think it's a shame that they're going to put that out there, given
hold them hostage.
This had nothing to do with the Rays, that their stadium roof was going to blow off. It's ridiculous.
So let's base it on extortion.
Let's ruin the entire. We came so far, regardless of what you think about the stadium deal. We came so far to finally get this thing approved and get through all these hurdles and everything, and finally get it done. And then now a couple politicians in Pinellas County now want to stronghold the Rays.
It's hostage. It's a hostage taking.
It's ridiculous.
Like, yeah, we know Tampa's a much better spot, Steinbrenner Field, much bigger field, much better access. They have the parking, they have the roads in, roads out, because Raymond James right there. It's in the middle of the market, so the fans could get there. This will really be a big help for the Rays, keeping with some fan momentum going during this horrible time where they have to move out of their stadium. Yeah, that's all true, but we're going to hold you hostage. You got to come play at a smaller venue, no egress, no roads in and out for large crowds. They can barely do it when the Phillies get a big crowd. The parking is ridiculous. Access is ridiculous, but we're going to bump it up to 12 or 13,000. It's going to be even worse. It's such a Rays thing. It's such a Rays thing to do. Don't base any of it on what should happen, what's most obvious. Let's do it on other factors like, we're the inferior city, so we want the Rays and we'll pay anything to keep them. Has nothing to do with demographics or where they should be.
Yeah, and I thought we were
backwards. Everything's backwards.
I thought we were past this whole like pitting both both counties going at each other.
Clearly
like they
not.
used to do. I thought we
Clearly
were past this and we were like Team Tampa Bay altogether.
Yeah.
Like none of this matters. Where the Rays play for the next couple years as they build this thing, why does any of that matter? Like, I don't get it.
Well, we're paying for a part of the new stadiums, and we're going to make sure that they play in Pinellas County if they play anywhere.
I mean, think about that. As a leader of a community, as an elected official, that's your official position. Not what's best for the Rays, not what's best for the fans, not what's best for the franchise, not what's best. No, what's best for me.
Yeah, and you think any of the citizens in St. Pete are really going to be that pressed? Like, the Rays are leaving us for a couple years,
right?
But even though they're coming right back in a brand new stadium, like, you think anybody really is going to be upset about that?
They don't support them anyway.
Stupid thing to a hill to die on there.
Your constituents don't go to the games anyway. Who are you protecting? Just because you made a bad deal, I mean, use the opportunity to get out of the deal so you can go spend that money where it should be spent. On your citizens in Pinellas to rebuild from the hurricanes and protect from future hurricanes. Think that might be a civic priority for a county commission? Yeah, maybe. Instead of building a baseball stadium that 2% of the visitors actually use, and you're going to spend 22% of the bed tax money on it that people aren't going to go to because it's in the same failed location. You did a terrible deal. Here's an opportunity to get out of it. If I were you, I'd pull the ripcord quickly before you hit the ground. All right, that'll do it for us here on a Thursday. We'll be back tomorrow to preview all the big football games over the weekend. Scott Carter will have the Gator Report brought to you by the G's Law Group as they head to Texas for a historic game there. Great job, Nick. Appreciate you. We will be back tomorrow with more fun and frivolity. See you then.